Joe, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. How you been? How's things? Happy Pisces. Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? How's things? Scott, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? Scott, thank you so much for checking up on me and calling me and saying how I'm doing as well. Good to see you, brother. How you doing? Pure, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, Scott. I'm hoping you're out the hospital now as well. Billo, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Let's go, Mouse T. Let's go. How you doing? Screen is squashed. Go out, come back in. Should be fixed. Brother Mouse, good to see you as well. How you doing? Comatose, how you been? Finally, you're live. Let's go, Billo. What's up, Miles? And what's up, CMF? Kerry, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Told you by Monday XRP over $1. What's up, Miles? How you doing, Davey? You all right? Yep. Welcome back. Let's go, Scott. Hi, Miles. Pablo, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles of CMF. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles. How you doing? I'm doing great. Troy, how you doing? How you been? XRP news. Yes, towards the end of the live, we are going essentially be going through it. XRP news towards the end of the live. XRP news. What's next for XRP? All-time high. Well, what's next for XRP is 1, Gary Gensler needs to be fired. 2, lawsuit needs to be dismissed or settled. And 3 is adoption, pretty much. So higher prices is what's going to be heading towards it. Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Troy, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Evening, Miles. Glad to see you well. Jason, thank you so much, brother. Good to see you. How you doing? Hi, brother. Camel, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Price prediction for XDC. Price prediction for XDC. Look, XDC is going to do incredibly well as well. The finance projects, all the financial projects, XRP, XLM, XDC, HBOD, they're actually, they're doing quite well for themselves, to be fairly honest. The financial category is pretty much leading the way right now. Going into basically next year, the financial category is leading the way due to a new chairman of the SEC that's going to be happening, rules and regulations, banks, institutions. The number one category, which has always been finance, is starting to make a move. We're going into the adoption phase. Is what's basically happening, the simplest way to put it. Good evening, Miles of CMF, free and forever. Good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? Where do you go from here with XRP? Well, as long as there's no geopolitical tensions, we should still be heading on the upside. As long as Gary Gensler is still going to be resigning or going to be fired, which fired is going to be happening, is it's Donald Trump. The man says and does what he says. So as long as those things are going to be happening still in motion, we're pretty much good to go, to be fairly honest. Good evening, Miles, and the rest of the CMF family. Funky brother, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hello, Miles. How are you? Anna, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Lay it all out for all of us. Lay it out for all of us. You definitely will once we start the live. Hi, Miles. Glad you feel better. Good evening, CMF. Thank you so much, Orphan. Good to see you. How you doing? Evening, Miles, the CMF. Semper, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? How you feeling now too? I'm feeling a lot better, brother. A lot better, thank you, brother. Good to see you again, Miles and CMF. Lena, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? I saw something about Gary Gensler resigning letter. Any truth to this? There's some truth to this regarding Gary Gensler resigning. There's some truth to it. Even if the reason I said this previously as well, Gary Gensler either resigns and the cases get dismissed or settled, or he gets fired around January 20th and the cases get dismissed or settled. However way you look at it, Gary Gensler, as I said previously, is the only SEC chairman in American history who has no power virtually. Whatever Gary Gensler does from now until January 20th will be undone. So he has no power. So it's either he resigns. If he does resign, he resigns, the cases get dismissed or settled. If he doesn't resign, he gets fired, the cases get dismissed or settled. Either way you look at it, it's pretty much good to go. Good to see you, much better, Miles. We thank God. Thank you so much, Jonas, for the kind words. So, just want to say, good to be back. Good to see everyone as well on the live. And if you're watching this for the first time ever, this is the CMF Live. It stands for Crypto Miles Family. I am your host, as I am every single night. My name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles. And on this live, I talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital era, to a digital space, in other words. This is episode 205 of the CMF Live, which is absolutely incredible that we're on episode 205. And this live starts every single night around 11:25 p.m. UK time onwards on X Live if you watch us on X, or on YouTube Live if you watch us on YouTube. And the disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and what advice is only for entertainment purposes. We also do Q&As on this live as well, which means if you have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So, we have a mixture of news topics to go through on tonight's live. We have news topics like Donald Trump apparently preparing to buy a crypto exchange or become a business partner in a crypto exchange, which is quite massive if it turns out to be any sort of truth to that matter. So these are the news topics we're going to go through on tonight's live. We're going to talk about Donald Trump essentially and a new crypto exchange. We're going to be talking about the EuroQ and the USDQ. Apparently Tether has found a loophole to enter into the EU market spaces, but not with USDT. There's a catch to it. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding the matters of spot Bitcoin ETFs launching on the NASDAQ as early as tomorrow, which could be pushing prices of Bitcoin up much more higher. We're also going to be talking about Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is getting prepared to launch their own crypto exchange, apparently. They're going to be they're roughly going to be spending quite a lot of money. We'll get into it once we go through the news. Then we're going to be talking about the US debt. The new reports are in, essentially what the US debt is looking at right now. And we're going to go through, is that bullish or bearish towards the crypto markets? We're also going to be talking about AI, a AI firm that's came out right now and decided to invest into Bitcoin ETFs. A lot of more companies inside the corporate sector are essentially decided to go towards blockchain assets due to a new SEC chairman heading our way, due to rules and regulations, due to America becoming the capital of crypto. A lot more companies going that direction of backing their assets, their company reserve assets for crypto assets. We're also going to talk about MicroStrategy on tonight's live as well. MicroStrategy's recent purchase, around $4.6 billion more have been spent on Bitcoin, which is incredible from their side. We're also going to go essentially a little bit more detail because we just got new reports about the 18 US states filing lawsuits against the SEC chairman, Gary Gensler. Now, a few nights ago on this live, I revealed to everyone that 18 US states are suing Gary Gensler. Now we have an update on the matter of where the suing has came from and essentially how far they're going to take it when it comes to Gary Gensler. We're also going to talk about tonight's live regarding the SEC in terms of crypto cases, because the biggest question is Gary Gensler getting replaced is great. What's going to be happening to those cases? Now, we've had a former SEC member chairman before come out and say that the cases will either be dismissed or settled. Any cases that's revolving around blockchain when it comes to the SEC, when Gary Gensler gets essentially removed or resigns. We have a new perspective on the matter as well. Consensus CEO has came in with his opinion, so we're going to go through that tonight's live as well. We're also going to be talking about the New York prosecutor suggesting office scales back to crypto cases is what we're going to talk about as well tonight's live. And we're also going to be talking about investors with $8 billion wealth making huge Bitcoin moves. There's a Bloomberg report on that matter. We're going to go through that on tonight's live as well. We're also going to talk about SBI, UBS, and Chainlink and their recent, essentially, tokenization updates with UBS Bank. We're also going to go through another banking news on tonight's live as well regarding Expo Bank and their Bitcoin inheritance plan. And we're also going to talk about tonight's live regarding a former Binance, essentially, US CEO could potentially become the next chairman of the SEC. Now, there's also the other perspective that the former HBAR member can also become an SEC chairman as well. So there are two perspectives on the matter. And we're also going to talk about Ripple also as well tonight's live. Ripple, Brad, the CEO of Ripple. We're going to go through some interesting news on that matter regarding Ripple and CEO Brad. And we're going to be talking about the European Investment Bank, the EIB, and their new issuance of $100 million digital bond. So, on wholesale CBDCs. Those are the mixtures of news we're going to be going through on tonight's live. Now, before we go through any of those news topics, I just want to say, let's go through the comment section first before we go through any of those news topics, because quite a lot of news to go through. And as I said previously, I read everybody's questions one by one, give short series of answers to everyone as well, just to get through everyone's comments. If you do have any comments, don't be shy. Put it down inside the comment section. Be more than happy to answer the question we have. Also, thank you so much to everyone right now that's watching this on X, because I'm getting notifications. Thanks so much to everyone on X that's watching right now, who's liking this live show right now, who's retweeting this live show, putting a comment outside the live show. And thanks so much to everyone on YouTube who's watching this as well, who's also liking the video. Thank you so much to everyone from both sides. So, before we go through the first news, which is regarding US President Donald Trump, let's go quickly inside the comment section, see what's going on there, and then we'll go straight into the first news. How's everything? It's great, MQ. Good to see you as well. How you doing? What's the difference between XDC and XRP? Is it true Brad met Trump? Yes, there are some essentially news on that matter regarding Trump and Brad meeting up with each other. Seems to be true, yes. What's the difference between XRP and XDC? They're pretty much both in the financial field. There's not much of a difference between them. What do you think about Buffett selling all their stocks? There is a crash coming. Well, Warren Buffett essentially selling all their stocks. He hasn't sold all of his stocks, but he sold quite a lot of stocks to raise alarms. And he's not the only one. Michael Burry has also sold a lot of stocks and is holding cash reserves. Warren Buffett, Michael Burry, and a few other essentially high-profile investors are holding the majority of their assets and cash reserves and expecting a massive bubble to crash the entire market space, is what they're doing right now. But the rest of the institutions are buying inside the crypto space. So there's two perspectives on the matter, to be fairly honest. Good, William, good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? And where you're storing your LAT? Tangent doesn't do it. LAT, I store it on their own platform. They have their own wallet. It's a hot wallet, not a cold wallet, but I store it on their own platform. Great to see you, Mars. Thank God. Let's go, Ginos. Scott, hello to my CMF on YouTube. I hope that you had a good day. Share the live. Let's go, Scott. Hi, Miles. Great to see you back and you're feeling better. Let's go, Addy. I'm feeling a lot better. For these past 3 nights I was quite ill and I couldn't do the live, but now we're back again. Just realized I can comment on here now. Hello CMF, let's go. Glad you're feeling better, Miles. Thank you so much, Denise, for the kind words. And Manny, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? So first news on tonight's live. Essentially US President Donald Trump. US President Donald Trump is buying a crypto trading company by the name of Backit. Is what's spreading as a rumor right now inside of the corporate sector. The Financial Times has ran a news article today talking about how Donald Trump is preparing to buy a cryptocurrency trading company. So Trump media is in advanced talks to buy the cryptocurrency trading company Backit, according to Financial Times. The report cited that 2 unnamed sources familiar with the matter. Backit was created by essentially an exchange, ICE. The owner of the New York Stock Exchange is a part of this as well. The news sent both companies' stock prices soaring. Trump media, which essentially owns Truth Social, and the majority owned by President Donald Trump, surged by 15% within 15 minutes of the report coming out. Backett's shares also jumped by 162%, triggering a multiple trading halts due to excessive volatility. Retail investors have piled in, betting on Trump's growing political momentum, despite essential reportings of a $363 million net loss on their revenues of only $2.6 million so far this year. Trump media boasts a market cap of exceeding $7 billion. Backit, on the other hand, essentially has yet to achieve widespread adoption. Trump's potential of acquisition could bring a high-profile boost, although the financial terms of the deal remain undisclosed to the public for now. What this shows us is that Trump is ready to take his crypto commitments to a step further. If Trump essentially is getting ready to prepare to buy a crypto exchange, it is massive news. He would be the only ruler of a country, a president or a prime minister, that owns a crypto exchange. If this turns out to be true, that Trump is actually preparing to buy a crypto exchange, and this news is coming from the Financial Times and a few other news sources essentially inside the United States, that Trump media, essentially a company that Trump owns, is preparing to buy a crypto exchange. It's massive news. However, Trump's media financial struggles are well documented, with losses mounting despite its multi-billion-dollar valuation. Truth Social is a part of this company as well, the company that's buying essentially apparently this crypto exchange. The company's flagship platform has faced stiff competition and regulatory scrutiny, casting doubt on its long-term profitability regarding Trump's socials. President-elect Donald Trump is set to meet with Brian Armstrong also as well. The CEO of Coinbase is going to be having a sit-down with Donald Trump as well on essentially today. According to insiders, the two will talk about potential personal choices for Trump's second term in office. This will be the first time ever Trump and Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, are going to be sitting together since the election day. The timing isn't surprising, as Trump is in the middle of building out his cabinet and finalizing top positions in his administration. This comes when some of the president's closest essentially advisors are throwing their weight behind Kevin Walsh and a former Federal Reserve governor as strong contenders for the Treasury Secretary. Sources say that Walsh has been invited to Mar-a-Lago, Trump's Florida estate, and the nerve center of his transition operations, for an upcoming interview with President-elect Trump. Okay, this is quite massive. One, essentially, a company that Trump is a part of, Trump Media, that owns Truth, the social media app, is preparing to buy a crypto exchange. that would make officially Trump the only president or prime minister in this entire planet that owns a crypto exchange. That is massive news. Trump making America the capital of cryptocurrencies is already incredibly bullish, because it makes every company, every bank, everybody get involved in cryptocurrencies inside the United States market space, which makes every other country around the world jump inside the blockchain space as well. And then on top of that, if we have Donald Trump essentially owning a crypto exchange, that just takes it to a whole other level. Genuinely takes it to a whole other level of massive bullishness. And then at the same time, apparently Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, is having a sit down with Donald Trump as well. Look, what I can say is, I mean, so many good things are headed towards us inside the blockchain space. So many good things are headed towards us. It is incredible, absolutely incredible. And the news is coming from the sources around Donald Trump, and it's on the Financial Times. They're the ones that did the report on it, and a few other news channels essentially did the report on it as well. Scott, good to see you. How you doing? Good to buy LAT now. It's still cheap if I'm not mistaken. Hi, Miles at CMF. Glad to see you're feeling better, Stormy. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? And there's nothing else to say. I mean, honestly, just thinking about it, Donald Trump firing Gary Gensler is bullish. Donald Trump making America the capital of cryptocurrencies is bullish, because everybody gets involved. Banks, institutions, retail, corporate, Wall Street, everybody gets involved. And then the entire world gets involved because they don't want to get left behind. And on top of that, Donald Trump essentially buys a crypto exchange, buys out a crypto exchange through his other company, essentially Trump Media, that owns Truth Socials. That's incredible. That's just takes it a whole nother step further regarding, you know, the adapting essentially to cryptocurrencies. Incredible. Now, next, what we're going to be talking about is Tether and the EU. USDT has had multiple difficulties being able to be used essentially in the EU. The MiCA regulations do not let Tether USDT operate in the EU market space at all, because there's one rule that every single stablecoin has to essentially abide by, which Tether doesn't abide by in any sort of a way. Circle, for example, agreed to the rules and regulations of the European market space, the MiCA regulations, which is you have to hold 60% of your reserve assets in EU banks, just in case there's a de-pegging situation, that the EU banks can cover any sort of losses inside the EU market space with their reserves. Now, Tether rejected the idea of holding their reserves, 60% of their reserves in EU banks, to be able to, you know, operate inside the EU market space. Now, Tether has apparently found a loophole how to re-enter inside the EU market space with USDT, because every exchange did delist USDT except Binance and another one, but the rest of the exchanges in the EU have already delisted USDT. And by the end of the year, and moving on to first quarter 2025, there's not going to be a single crypto exchange that offers USDT in the EU market space. However, Tether has found a loophole, which is they're going to be creating 2 new stablecoins through a third-party company, but it's based on Tether's platform. So, Quantos introduces MICAR compliant EuroQ stablecoin and USDQ stablecoin. These are the 2 new stablecoins introduced to the EU market space through Tether's third party. Stablecoins backed by Tether's hard-on platform. A Dutch financial technology company, Quartz, has recently introduced 2 stablecoins, EuroQ and USDQ, which are MiCA essentially approved, MiCA regulated stablecoins. Both tokens are pegged to the euro and the US dollars. Additionally, this token's main purpose and functionality is to serve as a safe and clear replacement for controversial payment methods. The debut is backed by Tether, Kraken, and Fabric Ventures, making it a major step inside the European stablecoin market space. Quartz has utilized Tether's hardened platform to issue their EuroQ and USDQ, making it the first public user for their systems. The hard-on platform is a non-custodial solution for tokenizing real-world assets, offering robust compliance and features such as KYC, AML, and KYT controls. It also includes risk management tools and market monitoring for seamless integrations across blockchains and centralized exchanges. According to Tether's own CEO, the collaboration underscores Tether's commitment to underscoring Tether's essentially compliant financial tools. The partnership allows courts to leverage the full capabilities of hard-on to tokenize assets across multiple classes. This revolutionizes the global use of digital assets. The EuroQ and the USDQ maintain a one-to-one ratio backing the fiat reserves, including essentially liquid financial instruments like government bonds. The team also holds these reserve assets in segregated accounts to comply with the European Union's MiCA regulations. In addition, Quartz also has set aside an extra 2% of reserves on its balance sheets to meet MiCA obligations for stablecoin issuers. Licensed as an electronic money institution, an e-money institution by the Dutch Central Bank, Quartz ensures that the stability and transparency of its stablecoins. The tokens are positioned to enhance financial transactions with reduced cost and increased efficiencies. EuroQ and USDQ will be listed on major cryptocurrency exchanges, including Kraken and Bitfinex, starting November 21st. The launch contributes to the $200 billion stablecoin market, where Tether holds a leading share of $127 billion. This development aligns with the broader trend of integrating stablecoins into financial systems, as demonstrated by Ripple's recent partnership with Societe Generale Forge to integrate URCV into the XRP ledger. It is true, a few nights ago I revealed on this live that Societe Generale in the EU market space is going to be launching their own Euro stablecoin, but it's going to be based on the XRP ledger. The success of these stablecoins could accelerate mainstream adoption, opening new opportunities for financial transactions and promoting inexclusivity across global markets. The collaboration between Quartz and the Tether highlights the growing role of technology in shaping essentially the future of tokenized assets and emphasizes the compliance and security and efficiencies in the evolving digital economy. So, Tether has found a loophole to re-enter into the EU market space because USDT is struggling and they will never be accepted in the EU market space. However, these two new stablecoins that Tether has introduced, essentially USDQ and EuroQ, they can be, and they're going to be listed starting on Kraken exchange, because Kraken's back in this whole venture as well with Tether, and a few other exchanges. So if you were somebody that loved the idea of using USDT, but you were upset that the EU is kicking out USDT, well, there's a replacement for it. It's called USDQ. It's still the same USDT coin, basically. It's called USDQ for US dollars and EuroQ for euros, and they're both pegged either to the dollar or to the euro. But yeah, Tether found a loophole apparently. Let's see if that's going to be rejected moving forward or accepted moving forward from the EU market space. For now, they're licensed, they can operate, and they're moving with the terms and regulations. Now, before we go for the next news, which is quite major actually, it's Bitcoin ETFs, NASDAQ Bitcoin options. It's all bullish, and it's going to be bringing a lot more adoption inside the Bitcoin space and the blockchain space. Let's go inside the comment section first before we go through the next news. As I said previously, if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Knockout says USA goes up for sale soon. I see Russia making a strong bid to purchase it. I'm not really sure where you're getting any news from. I don't think the US will ever be up for sale, and that battle is over. To be fairly honest, the US has won. Regarding Russia, China, and the US won. It's over. It's game over. The US won, which is a good thing, by the way. If Russia was the one that takes the lead and controls, it's a bad thing. Putin's not really a good person. Everybody sees the good side of Putin. There's the bad side of Putin. Nobody ever gets to see. And the same thing goes for China. I'm happy that China lost this race. I'm happy that Russia lost this race. And I'm very happy that the US has won this race and that Donald Trump is back in charge. And I've always said this, and I'll say it again. Thank God Trump won. Honestly, thank God Trump won. Can be considered a conflict of interest then when he makes changes. Should be, yeah. Hello, Miles and CMF. Glenda, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? I will buy Bitcoin anyways. Okay, Raphael, thank you for the update. It's a good asset. Miles, do you see XRP dropping? Yes, slightly, not drastically. Look, there's no bad news heading towards Ripple. If we do get any sort of bad news, for example, the only things that can bring this market down, as I said previously as well, the only things that can bring this market down is going to be either geopolitical tensions. So a war starts happening in the Middle East with Israel and Iran. If that war scenario happens, then the markets will be impacted and bring it down. If something happens on the line of, Gary Gensler being able to keep his job, which I don't think is going to be possible, then that will obviously cause the Ripple price to crash as well. But other than that, there's no major bad news to bring the price down unless a lot of people decide to accordingly sell their assets on XRP, which makes 0 sense to be able to do that. Because, as I said previously, I tweeted this out. So I tweeted a tweet that kind of rhymes with I tweeted a tweet. But I said this tweet inside the, so this live, if you didn't know, now you're gonna know. So this live that you're watching right now has a community page on X. It's called the CMF community page, the CMF Crypto Mouse Family Lounge. It's a lounge page for this live that you're watching right now. And this is what I tweeted out essentially regarding people who might be thinking of taking massive profits. Now, taking profits on any asset is a brilliant idea. You know, why not? You can take profits and be on the safe side. But I said to people, you know, just remember one thing. I said, thinking of taking profits. This is the tweet I sent out. I said, thinking of taking profits. Remember, institutions stay ahead looking at a 5. The reason why institutions stay ahead, they are looking at a 5 and 15-year projection. They don't need to push the retail investors out. Retail investors tend to push themselves out. Play the long term, essentially, plan for long term like the pros do, which is all facts. Look, the reason why you never saw Bitcoin drop to those $20,000 marks everybody was talking about a very long time ago, Bitcoin is going to go to 20,000, and it never did because the institutions didn't sell. Institutions buy crypto assets for 5-year projections, 15-year projections, 20-year projections, or 10-year projections. Hence why you never saw the price of Bitcoin go drastically down to 20,000. It never happened because of institutions. And I'm not the only one that said this as well. Bloomberg ETF specialist analyst Eric said the same thing as well. And Bloomberg is pretty much gospel for the entire Wall Street or the entire market space in the entire world, to pretty much be fairly honest. But and he even said that, you know, everybody who's inside of Bitcoin should be kissing the asses of institutions because they saved Bitcoin from going drastically down. And I said to everybody inside the XRP space in a tweet that if you want to play alongside the big boys, if you want to play alongside institutions, then you're going to play by the institutions' rules. Institutions buy crypto assets for 5-year, 15-year, 10-year, 20-year projections. Hence why you never see, you know, essentially Bitcoin drop at those types of levels. So I said, if you want to play like the institutions do with your XRP tokens, then think twice about selling. Not financial advice in any sort of a way at all, just personal perspective from my own side, for myself. But I said, if you want to play like the pros, then act like the pros. And the pros don't sell when they make a quick $200 profit on their long-term assets. The pros, the institutions don't sell their assets even when they make $2 million in profits. You know what they do? They double down. One example, essentially Michael Saylor, MSTR stock, MicroStrategy. Yeah, this man has made so much profit on Bitcoin, he's still buying. He's doubling down every single time. He doesn't care because he sees the bigger picture. And if you're the type of person that sees the bigger picture on XRP, then stick to that bigger picture, is what I'm trying to say. I've said this for a very long time. So if you want to play essentially like the big boys, if you want to play essentially alongside institutions, then you got to play by their rules. And their rules are they don't sell. And I said this is why institutions don't care about the retail section, because the retail section tend to push themselves out. And it's just true. It's absolutely facts. This is the only reason that institutions don't care about the retail section, because the institutions know that the retail section just tend to push themselves out by selling for a quick profit. So remember one thing, we are going into regulations. We're going into regulations. We're going into a new SEC chairman, which means regulations. Cases getting dismissed and settled. XRP will be the only asset in American market spaces that is essentially ranking alongside Bitcoin. No crypto asset has the clarity that Bitcoin does. Ethereum doesn't really have clarity. Their clarity is very gray. It's in a gray area. Even though they have an ETF, it's in a gray area because it's not on paper. XRP will be the second crypto asset, and this is facts. XRP will be the second crypto asset in American history to have the clarity as Bitcoin. So if you want to play alongside big boys, you got to play by their rules, and they're not selling. So think twice if you were trying to make a quick profit of $200 or even $1,000, because essentially Gary Gensler resigns or gets fired, the cases will get dismissed or settled. Not just the Ripple case, any case will get dismissed or settled. And that's a perspective from a former SEC essentially chairman. That's the same perspective that we're going to go through from another essentially CEO of another company, that all Ripple cases will either be dismissed or set. All crypto cases with the SEC will either be dismissed or settled, which means new SEC chairman, the Ripple case gets dismissed or settled. Ripple essentially XRP has the same clarity as Bitcoin, which will make it the second crypto asset in American history to ever have clarity, the same level as Bitcoin, which also means that more ETFs will be happening for XRP, which means the prices will be going skyrocketing. So think twice when it comes to making a quick profit and jumping out. I said this previously, and I'll say it again. Institutions don't need to push the retail out at all, because the retail section tend to push themselves out. You don't want to get pushed out, then stick around, see what happens. So, again, not financial advice in any sort of a way, just, trying to tell you the bigger picture of what's alongside on the way. Now, let's go back inside the comment section before we go through the next news. Next news is quite big as well. So we're going on NASDAQ, Bitcoin options, ETFs, a lot more money from institutions coming in. A lot of things to talk about on tonight's live. Miles, do you see XRP? So regarding that matter, need everything to drop so I can buy. Look, if you essentially, look, turbulence is always going to be happening on any crypto asset. Turbulence will always be there no matter what. So, and if you're ever unsure of entering inside of a market space because the prices are, too volatile, dollar cost average is always the best scenario, because you're never going to make a loss with dollar cost averaging, ever. Unless, you're going for a meme coin, which makes no sense in dollar cost average. But if you go for a legitimate asset like XRP or XLM or XDC or HBAR or, so on, or AVAX or TON or NEAR, any dollar cost average into it, you're pretty much good to go in the long term. So whenever you're on short, dollar cost average is what I would say. But expect turbulence at all times in market spaces. When will retail stop massive profit booking on XRP? Well, when will retail essentially stop massive profit taking on XRP? They can do it right now if they want to, to be fairly honest. The first live show XRP above $1. It is true. This is the first live that we're doing that XRP is above $1, which is incredible. It still hasn't passed £1, but we're getting there. We passed $1, we passed €1. We just need to pass £1 as well. Miles, do you still see a crash and then an XRP boom to big price problem, reaction, solution type of thing? Possibility, yes. Don't keep it as the outcome, but as I said previously, keep it as an outcome. Definitely keep it as an outcome. Or more likely, without a crash, XRP going high with adoption is also an outcome as well. Hi, Miles and family. Alex, good to see you. How are you doing? Both keep both outcomes, because I reviewed both outcomes a while ago as well. I've always said I have multiple outcomes just in case one plays out and you don't get surprised. Assuming the market can go only one way is a ridiculous thought pattern to have. The market can go 1,000 ways, but weighing down 1,000 options into a 3-option scenario, by using logic and common sense and some factual information in between, you're good to go. But those are two rational, essentially, outcomes, to be fairly honest. One, it just goes up and climbs higher and higher and higher due to regulations, due to new SEC chairman, due to essentially ETFs happening. There's already 3 XRP ETFs in filing motion with the SEC, which haven't even been looked into because of Gary Gensler. We get a new SEC chairman, those ETFs for XRP will be approved pretty much, and the more ETFs will be happening for XRP and other altcoins as well. And the other outcome is also on the page as well. Keep it as both of them outcomes. Alex, good to see you. How you doing? Market cool off a bit with Biden allowed to use the missiles. Consider the price predictions for XRP in 2025. Consider variable change. Good day, Miles and CMF. Mike, good to see you. How you doing? Greetings, CMF. Hope you're feeling better, brother. Let's go. Ray, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, when Gary resigns, can we see an all-time high? Yes, the market will react in a positive way. When Gary Gensler officially resigns, the news comes out, Gary Gensler has resigned today, for example, then the market will go absolutely ballistic. Just based on the excitement, the crypto markets will react. I mean, XRP should react the hardest because it was held back the most. XRP is the only crypto asset that's been held back like a rubber band. So they've just been pulling XRP back and back and back and back like a rubber band. And at one point, that rubber band is about to be let go when XRP just goes straight past. Just like a rubber band, they've been holding it back. As the price of XRP goes up, many will sell, which is very true. Miles, but if you have any sort of common sense, selling wouldn't be the best option, but very true. Miles, sorry to say this, but today I saw 10,000 XRP and 10,000 XLM. As I saw Russia hit Ukraine hard last night on the news, I will buy it back at lower prices. No problem. Taking profits is never a bad idea. As I said, taking profits is never a bad idea. It's just personally something that I'm not going to be doing for the time being, but taking profits is never a bad idea. If you're sitting on huge profits, why not? Yo, Miles, Knox, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? I will buy it back when Gary goes. No problem. Hi CMF, Black Swan incoming. Better to be ready to stockpile on toilet paper. Low. Let's go, Golden Dragon. Good to see what you're doing. Is that smart? What Funky did? Taking profits is never a bad idea, is what I can say. I was under pressure, thinking geopolitical tensions were high yesterday. Look, I'll be honest, the Ukraine and Russia war isn't going to have much effect on the crypto market space, as much of an impact Israel and Iran is going to be having. The Ukraine and Russia war has been going on for a while. And we know the moment Trump comes under power, the Ukraine and Russia war is going to be ending. Without a doubt, that war is going to be ending. The other war, it's the Israel versus Iran. I'm not sure either one of those parties is going to stop because of Trump's opinion. They might stop. Trump is the only man in American history or in the entire world that can actually stop wars. He's the only man that can do it. He can stop wars. The Ukraine and Russia war instantly come to some sort of a conclusion with Trump. It's the other war I'm worried about. Iran and Israel, they're going to be going into some high tension situations. So that one might kick off, and that one might create geopolitical tensions for the market space. But the Ukraine and Russia war, that will come straight to an end. I will buy you back when Gary goes. For real, stock up on metals, water, gas, and so on. Let's go, Golden Dragon. Not to worry, as I still hold the big bags. Let's go, Funky Brother. Yes, it's an outcome, but what do you think more is going to happen? Be honest. You've got to weigh both outcomes in. You've got to remember what I said previously as well. So previously, some people said I'm on the fence. A while ago, some people said I'm on the fence, and I'm not on the fence. And the reason why I say you've got to have a few outcomes laid out is because we're talking about trying to guess the thought patterns of manipulated and twisted people like politicians, prime ministers, and presidents, and the World Economic Forum, the Bank of International Settlements, and the International Monetary Fund. Trying to figure out what these twisted, corrupted, manipulative, greed mindsets are going to be thinking next is quite difficult. And try to pinpoint it and say, yes, this way is the only way it could go. But weighing out three rational outcomes of where possibly it could go is better solution. So the reason why I'm saying those three outcomes is I'm generally weighing in those three outcomes, because I'm trying to guess the thought patterns, and I've been always correct on figuring out what their next movements are. I've never been wrong, ever. Maybe, no, never been wrong. And I'm very happy for the wisdom God has given me. So I'm trying to figure out always. I'm trying to figure out what's the next move from this corruptive, manipulated, greed people. What's their mindset on? What's their next move on? When it comes to World Economic Forum, Bank of International Settlements, International Monetary Fund, politicians, presidents, prime ministers, what's their next thought pattern is always what I'm trying to figure out. And it's difficult to figure out because their mindsets are incredibly, essentially corrupt and manipulative and greed. But I'm very good at figuring it out in some sort of a way. But I'm still weighing on those outcomes. So it's not, me choosing which one do I think is more likely. It's those. Those are the options. Few days ago, I had already done 5x on my XRP banks. Let's go, Funky Brother. Miles, please run a poll on Gary's last day. Please run a poll on Gary's last day. Miles, talking about long-term, people asking if XRP crash. No. Long-term, is XRP going to crash? Hell no. Long-term is when you're going to see it advance even further. When Gensler gets fired, will XLM, XDC, ACH shoot up? The entire crypto market space will shoot up, but so will those assets, definitely. To be honest, at the moment, nothing can affect the crypto market nowadays. Investors are smart, they don't sell, which is true as well, which is very true. But there are still some people that sell, but very true. Miles, any time frame or an update on tensions in Israel and Iran situation? Shelly, yes, there's some situations happening. Okay, so if you don't know this and you're watching this for the first time ever, I'm Persian myself, I'm Iranian, so sometimes I get some news from Iran's side come in. Apparently Iran is not going to be backing down against the war in Israel. Iran is not going to be backing down in any sort of a way, and that war is going to be happening apparently. Well, Iran wants it to happen, and Iran doesn't apparently care what Trump wants. Now, there is also something else circulating in Iran. Okay, let me just point this out. There is something that a lot of people don't know. There's something that a lot of people don't know. about the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East that I'm about to reveal to you right now. And nobody's said this to you so far. The only reason I know this is because I have family members in Iran who let me know some information sometimes, and so on. But anyways, apparently, one side of the Iranian government wants to start this war, and they don't care about Trump's opinion. So one side of the Iranian government wants to start this war with Israel as soon as possible, and they don't care about Trump's opinion. The other side of the Iranian government actually doesn't want a war to happen. But there's three sides to this as well. The other side inside Iran doesn't want this war to happen. But what they're going to be doing is replacing. So Iran is not really led by a prime minister or president. So Iran has a supreme leader who is the man in charge. And the supreme leader of Iran essentially greenlighted this war, which means this war should be happening no matter what. However, the supreme leader has a son. His son has had a sit down with Elon Musk. No word of a lie. Elon Musk had a sit down with the son of the Iranian supreme leader. Now, why would Elon Musk have a sit down with the supreme leader's son of Iran? Apparently, the supreme leader's son of Iran wants to revolutionize Iran because Israel is backing, essentially, America and Israel are backing the king of Iran to come back. Israel and America, Israel and Donald Trump, just to put that perspective, Israel and Donald Trump are trying to bring back the king of Iran, who now lives in Beverly Hills. They're trying to bring back the king of Iran and to replace it with the Iranian regime. So the Iran supreme leader's son has a sit down at the same time with Elon Musk, pleading to Elon Musk for the king of Iran to not come back and for him to take control. If that happens, that's doomed for Iran because the Iranian supreme leader needs to go away. The regime of Iran needs to go away completely. So if that happens, but what I'm trying to say, if that happens, or if the king comes back, there's no war. An inside war in Iran will not be affecting the market space in any sort of a way. If Iran has geopolitical tensions outside of Iran with Israel, then yes, the crypto markets will be affected. So there's two outcomes on the table with geopolitical tensions with Iran right now. One outcome on the table is Iran has an inside war, which shouldn't really affect the crypto space or the stock market. The other outcome is the crazy side of the Iranian government wants to have an outside war with Israel. So there's two outcomes on the table. Iran can have an inside war where regime change is going to be happening, which wouldn't really affect the market space, or Iran can have an outside war with Israel because one side wants to do that, but that will affect the crypto market and the stock market. So here's something that you didn't know, that Iran is having a regime change. They're actually scared now because they know that Donald Trump is backing the king of Iran. And they know that Israel is backing the king of Iran as well. And the king of Iran is coming to replace the Iranian regime, which is why the Iranian supreme leader does a sit down with Elon Musk, pleading to Elon Musk for the king of Iran not to come back. So if Iran has an inside war, then there's no geopolitical tensions and the crypto market and stock market wouldn't be affected at all. And they shouldn't be affected, to be fairly honest. But if Iran has an outside war very soon, then that will happen. So this is going to be happening very soon as well, to put in perspective. This is going to be happening very soon. So it's either an outside war and inside war. Inside war shouldn't affect the market space. Outside war will affect the market space. So there's two outcomes on the table right now for geopolitical tensions. The other war, Ukraine and Russia, that will end instantly. When Trump takes his seat, that war will end instantly. Russia and Ukraine, that will be finished. No more war. It's the other war that's on my mind that's going to be affecting the crypto market space and the stock market in general. It's the other war. Is it going to be an inside war or an outside war is what's going on right now? So if you didn't know that, now you know. There's two outcomes on the table for geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. One is an inside war in Iran, and the other one is an outside war. Inside war doesn't affect the market. Outside war will affect the market, definitely. Great question, Shelly. Because that question that Shelly just asked me made me tell you something I should have told you that I found out yesterday about this matter, essentially. if there will be a crash, we have this pump for absolutely nothing then. No, not absolutely nothing, no. But the market will do a 360 and go back up. Always thankful for the wisdom of God has given you. Let's go, Ray. Miles, I want one or max 2 coins to put some money in. Take profits there and get back in XRP to buy more XRP. Which coin do you advise, bro? You want to max 2 coins to put some money in and to take profits, and then the best option is to do futures. If you want to, essentially make some money, do futures is best option. Unless the Asian markets start boosting the Asian coins. So if NEO starts boosting and so on. Look, futures would be your only option. Because it's difficult to say which coin you should be going for right now to jump in and then to make some quick profits and jump back out. Futures would be your best option, which is not ideal in any sort of way because you probably end up losing that money as well. So what I would say is whatever you do have, just dollar cost average into the assets you want. Whatever you do have, dollar cost average into the assets you want. Not financial advice in any sort of way. Iran isn't going to back down, no chance. I seen that with Elon Musk. Have you listened to M. Saylor's presentation, Qatar Crypto? If so, your take. Vibe, I haven't essentially taken. I haven't listened to that, I'll be honest. I was quite ill for 3 days, but no. I'll take a look at after live. What is futures? Don't understand. Futures trading, I'll reveal inside Telegram, but not recommend in any sort of way, because if you don't know what you're doing, you'll most likely lose that money. Look, below, what I would say is dollar cost average with whatever you do have, dollar cost average into the crypto assets you want. So if you want to go for XRP, dollar cost average into it would be the better option. But futures trading essentially is betting on the market. In the simplest way to put it is betting on the market to either go up or down. It's either you're going to be long in the market or shorting the market. In this scenario, long in the market should make you a profit. But inside Telegram, I'll put more information. Now, spot Bitcoin ETF options. We enter in the parabolic run, so people keep thinking about the crash happening. You're going to miss this run, trust me. Yeah, I say that as well. I say the same thing as well. Now, spot Bitcoin ETF options. Apparently, tomorrow we're going to be having some massive insurge towards Bitcoin ETFs and so on onwards as we go past. So spot Bitcoin ETF options could start trading as early as tomorrow. Options tradings on spot Bitcoin ETFs, a long-awaited tool that market participants believe will lure in more institutional interest to crypto, could become available on the Nasdaq as soon as tomorrow. Bitcoin essentially ETF options list tradings are going to be happening on the Nasdaq tomorrow, apparently. If that is true, then a lot more institutional money is going to be coming towards Bitcoin, should essentially boost the price up, and a lot more eyes will be on blockchain as well. So this is what was said essentially by the Nasdaq. Our intent at the Nasdaq is to list and trade these options as early as tomorrow. Alison Hennessy, the head of ETP listings at the Nasdaq, told Bloomberg TV, getting these options listed on IBIT in the market, I think, will be very exciting for investors because that's really what we have heard from them. While there are currently 11 essentially US-based spot Bitcoin ETFs on the market space, only one of them, BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, is listed on the Nasdaq and could therefore have an options available. Options are a form of derivatives that allow investors to purchase or sell an underlying asset. IBIT, in this case, essentially the price of it within a specified period. They are particularly attractive to traders because they allow them not just to essentially make leveraged directional bets, but also to hedge other positions. The SEC has approved the listings of their options IBIT in September. It also approved the rule changes filed by the New York Stock Exchange, the NYSE, and the CBOE Global Markets, which will also list some of their other spot Bitcoin ETFs options as well. As for the other Bitcoin ETF options on these, it could start trading within the next few days, as well as James, essentially the ETF analyst from Bloomberg Intelligence, stated it's likely that these things start trading this week, potentially within the next 2 days. He said, as far as he can tell, all the regulatory and bureaucracy handles and hurdles have been cleared. This matter of crossing and essentially crossing the T's and crossing the dots has already been done. It's generally assumed that these option tradings could help withdraw further institutions to crypto markets, it remains to be seen how leverage and hedging associated with options will affect these price actions. So Bitcoin ETF options essentially is going to be happening on the Nasdaq starting tomorrow. The Nasdaq is going to be opening its doors to IBIT, essentially BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF options, which is massive, which means more institutions are going to be getting involved in BlackRock ETFs and BlackRock options and essentially Bitcoin options and hedging it against other scenarios. So starting tomorrow, we should find some more money coming inside the crypto markets and more eyes coming on the crypto markets as well, if things go to plan, if the Nasdaq opens their doors tomorrow to that. Now, what we're going to be talking about next, moving on essentially from the Nasdaq news to $3 trillion Goldman Sachs plans to convert its digital asset platform into a blockchain venture for faster trading and settlements. So with the news essentially of Donald Trump's Truth Media company buying out a crypto exchange, and now the news of Goldman Sachs getting more involved inside of blockchain, it's interesting. And we're going towards some interesting times right now. Matthew, the Goldman Sachs head of digital assets, said that Goldman Sachs Group's plans to essentially turn its digital asset platform into an industry-owned blockchain. The new venture will allow large firms to create, trade, and settle financial instruments through blockchain technology. Goldman Sachs is getting heavily involved in blockchain technology. They are a $3 trillion assets company, which is incredible. Matthew essentially disclosed that the bank was in early stage discussions with industry stakeholders to develop the new company's commercial use cases and platform capabilities before executing the spin-out of the next 12 to 18 months. Matthew also said that while the new blockchain platform essentially was to be owned by a separate entity, Goldman Sachs planned to retain its digital asset team to continue the bank's expansion activities into the space. According to a Bloomberg report, the $3 trillion investment bank was set to turn its digital asset platform into a new blockchain company. The spin-out aims to speed up asset tradings and settlement processes for large-scale financial institutions. Matthew disclosed that the ambition was for the industry-owned digital assets and platforms to leverage blockchain technology in the tokenizations of funds for use of collateral. Goldman Sachs' initiative aligns with the industry's wider trend of streamlining the issuance, trading, and settlements of traditional assets like bonds and cash by leveraging blockchain technology. TradeWeb Markets and Inc., a major essentially electronic trading platform, announced that it had already signed a Goldman Sachs first strategic partner. According to Matthew, the partnership will focus on exploring new commercial essentially applications for digital asset platforms. This is quite massive news. If you are trying to build out a scalable marketplace, you want to have the right street participants embracing this technology, said essentially Goldman Sachs. It was exploring several other digital asset initiatives, such as facilitating secondary transactions for privileged, essentially for private digital asset companies, and potentially resetting or restarting their Bitcoin-backed lending activities. So apparently Goldman Sachs not only wants to be involved with just buying Bitcoin ETFs and holding on their balance sheets and so on, they actually want to be involved inside the blockchain sector. They're creating a whole new department that was supposed to be separate, a blockchain department, but now they're creating that department within themselves. The bank's digital asset platform launched back in 2022 and it had already been used for key transactions such as issuing bonds for European investment banks. Goldman Sachs' history also includes the successful spin-offs of in-house built software platforms like Ready Technologies and Simon, the structured investment marketplaces that was a part of Goldman Sachs' Mercure platform. However, the broader adoption of blockchain on Wall Street has been slow due to challenges such as interoperability and security concerns. Some companies were also reluctant to get involved in competitor-created systems. While some applications were live and few had reached significant scales, Wall Street's blockchain efforts had been going on for almost a decade. Nonetheless, Goldman Sachs believes that their industry-owned platform has the potential to overcome these challenges and unlock new opportunities for Goldman Sachs and the blockchain sector and for businesses. The bank also aimed to drive widespread adoption of blockchain technology inside the financial industry by attracting strict partners and focusing on practical use cases. Matthew also said Goldman Sachs' new venture, which aims to facilitate secondary transactions in private digital assets, essentially in companies for its clients, could make it easier for family offices and other clients looking for liquidity. He added that this would also allow buyers to take advantage of private market discounts. Goldman Sachs is getting involved inside the blockchain space on another scale. They started out essentially by offering some sort of small crypto services here and there to their high-profile clients. Now they're going to be doing a whole blockchain department within Goldman Sachs. that's going to be offering a multitude of services to businesses to operate within their banks, which is incredible. They're going to be offering liquidity services as well, security services as well. The financial category inside the crypto space is going to do incredibly well. The financial category is what, essentially your number one aim should be inside the blockchain sector, because we're going towards rules and regulations of banks and institutions, which means the finance category, which is XRP, XLM, XDC, HBOL, ACH, is going to do the best moving forward in that category, banks and institutions. Now, moving away from Goldman Sachs' news of essentially introducing a new platform to the institutions, to the US debt is what we're going to talk about next. But before we go through the US debt news, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's see what's going on here before we go through the next news, which is the data report from the US debt. And we're going to talk about, is it bullish or bearish? In my opinion, it's quite bullish actually. But we'll talk about that next. Let's go inside here. We're entering the Palabra. I just want see what can moon any moment. Take profits and get back into XRP. I don't want XRP now. It's very expensive now, €1. XLM. Okay, XLM. XLM is still cheap and it's going to skyrocket even further. So below, I would say XLM for that scenario. Miles, for maximum gains, is it wrong to only hold one crypto? Yes, in some sort of a way. No, if it's the correct asset. So preferably it's good to hold at least 2 to 3 crypto assets, even if it's in the same category. Should be good. But if you're holding one crypto asset, and it's the correct crypto asset, it doesn't really matter. I'll be honest. If you're positioned correctly in a legitimate crypto asset and you know their contracts in and out, you know their licensings in and out, you know how much they're going to be advancing further on, then you should still be good to go. Don't worry about it. But preferably, you should have 2 to 3 crypto assets. But if you're holding one, you're still good. Don't worry about it. It's basically, regarding futures, it's gambling. Yeah, pretty much it is, yeah. And crash will happen in bull run, and the crash is only for leverage traders, not for long-term holders. So you should only be worried if you were a trader. As a long-term holder, you shouldn't be worried. Facts, I agree 100% with what Chosen has said. Miles, what about MBD, XCN, and VET? VET is good. MBD, XCN, I'm not sure. I have to take a look into them, see what they're doing so far. But VET is good. Share the live. Miles, he's feeling better and he's on a roll. Let's go, Scott. I don't understand Chosen. What's Chosen saying? Chosen is basically saying if you're in it for a long term, you should be good to go. If you're in it for a short term, is when it's not going to be burning. Miles, Bit XLM did almost X3. How is that worth to buy for short term? Because it's going to go skyrocketing up even further. XLM is going to go, because XLM needs to catch up to XRP. XLM and XRP always follow each other's footsteps. XRP has done a drastic jump. XLM still needs to do a little bit more higher as well. So that's why, what I would say, XLM, because they tend to follow each other, and XLM still has catching up to do. A lot more catching up to do. Is there no more small caps or meme coins to go in for short term? There's a lot of small caps, but they're all speculative assets, and meme coins is just throwing your money down the toilet. Because a meme coin gets released every 5 seconds. If you go to Dex Tracker and just set the page on memes, every 5 seconds there's going to be a new meme coin. So trying to figure out which meme coin is the next one to go for, it's a needle in a haystack, honestly, when it comes to meme coins. So on those bases, and regarding small caps, they're all speculative assets that can go completely south and you end up losing your money. But XLM follows XRP, and XLM still has catch up to do. So based on XLM still needs to catch up to XRP, you can go for that and jump out and go for the other one. That's why I say XLM, because it still has catch up to do. You know what crypto I mean? Yes, I know. Come on, so I say you're still good to go. Yes, that's what I need to hear, Miles. I'm going to buy XLM already. Have 7K XRP. I buy it later. I hold any XLM. I don't hold any XLM. XLM is a great asset. Definitely look into it if you haven't looked into it at all. Definitely amazing asset. I've always said the financial assets are the number one category should be in. XRP, XLM, XDC, ACH, HBOL. It's the number one category for business institutions. They'll do the best on the regulations as well because they all have licenses to operate. XRP has licensings to operate. XLM has licensings to operate inside the financial banking industry as well. XRP has licensings inside the banking and the corporate sector. XLM has licensings. ACH has licensings. HBAR has licensings. XDC has licensings. These are the crypto assets that have licensings to operate on the rules and regulations for banks and institutions. They're incredible assets to look into. And we're going into regulations for banks and institutions. So they preferably should be the number one choices to look into, not to buy, but to read into them. And then whenever you're comfortable, that's on your choice. It's just that I'm one thing type of guy. I'm loyal. Funky dear. I brought XLM, AVAX, and Render last week after your advice and some research. So happy this week. Let's go. Let's go, Ronnie. Ronnie, you listened to me last week when I said, look into XLM, AVAX, and Render, and now you're in them, and you're good to go. Let's go, Ronnie. Thanks, Miles. No problem. Anytime, brother. My wifey worked out a wolfie. Miles, what do you think about Onyx coin? Not great. That's XCN, isn't it? Not great. That's the one that Scott was talking about as well, XCN. It's not an asset I would say I must have in my crypto portfolio. Hell no. The other 5 assets is must have in my portfolio. That one is never going to be a must have. Do you trade crypto as well as long-term investings? Yes, but I haven't traded for a while because I'm extremely busy. But yes, I feel you, but I don't want to buy XLM and XRP go green pump. I will buy when it drops drastically, but not now. Fair enough, below. What is trade financing the industry XDC going for? What trade and financing is XDC? Payments. Payments. They're all in the same category. Payments. XRP is in the payments category. XLM, payments category. XDC, payments category. ACH, payments category. HBAR, payments category. They also do their own subcategories as well, but their main category is payments. Worry I meant. Now, US debt is what we're going to talk about next. But yeah, Mike, I wouldn't say Onyx coin is a must-have at all in any sort of a way, Mike. Focus on the other 5. XRP, XLM, XDC, ACH as well, and HBAR. But not Onyx coin. So my money stays in my pocket. I don't have a good option on. Yeah, pretty much, I would say. Because the market is too volatile on the upscale. Miles, what about Pro? Pro, is that the tokenization project? Is that the one, the tokenization project? Elaborate on it. The property project, Pro. XLM, XRP, XDC, money category. Yes, facts. I'm sorry, Miles. What about Pro? Alex, is Pro that crypto project properly or something is what's called? Is it the tokenization project for properties? Is that the one? So XDC is extremely undervalued, only 500 million market cap. XDC is incredibly undervalued. I've always said this. XDC is incredibly undervalued for what it can achieve. But Alex, you need to elaborate on Pro. Is it the one that's tokenization of properties? If it's that one, it's not a must-have in any sort of a way at all. It's not a must-have at all. HBAR, Render, HBAR. Definitely HBAR. Now, US debt. Yes, okay. Alex, is that one Pro? Okay, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. If Pro is, so it's that one. So Pro is the crypto project essentially that, yeah, Miles is talking about property. Yeah, property. That's what it's called. I thought it was property. Yeah, I wouldn't touch property with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't touch property with a 10-foot pole is what I would say. It's not a must-have in any sort of a way. I've never said it's a must-have. I've been asked about Pro. That's why I quickly realized it was that tokenization house project. Trash. Not trash. Okay, taking it too far. But I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. That's not taking it too far at all. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. It's not a must-have crypto project at all in any sort of a way. It's not a must-have crypto project at all. There are much more must-have crypto projects you must look into and must be holding rather than that one. So I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Now, US debt. I said this in the past as well. When somebody asked me about property, I said I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. US debt hits 125% of GDP. And I know that property isn't tokenizations, and everybody assumes tokenizations is a brilliant concept, which it is. Depends which way you're looking at it. From a commercial, from a corporate perspective, tokenizations is amazing. From a retail perspective, you got to be in the backbone to make a profit. But anyways, a lot of crypto projects talk about tokenizations, and some companies like Pro claim they're massive in tokenizations and they're changing the game as it goes forward. And in reality, they have zero license to operate. And you could say, well, they could get licensings, then that will boost their assets up. But there's already tokenization projects out there that are, essentially XRP, they have the licensings to operate, or essentially HBOT, they have license to operate, or Chainlink and so on. So as I said before, when it comes to any crypto project, if you want to know that crypto project you're going to be holding is going to be successful in any sort of a way, there's three things you should really look into. One, what is it trying to build? Is it going to be in 5 years' time? Because that's a 5-year projection for any institution. Two, does it have any partners on essentially any contracts going on? Major contracts is what I'm talking about, with the financial industry or the corporate industry. And three, does it have licensings? If the crypto project you're looking at doesn't have licensings to operate, it doesn't have any major contracts in play, or any sort of venture capitalist money in play, or essentially that whatever they're trying to build is whatever they're trying to build is going to be changing the world, it doesn't really matter because they have no contracts and no licensing. We're going into a world essentially very soon with a new SEC chairman, with rules and regulations, which means a lot of crypto projects are going to be starting to struggle on the rules and regulations because they don't have the correct licensings to operate and they don't have any sort of contracts in play to help them out. But so it could be a crypto project claiming that they're going to be the best at tokenizations, but if they have no contracts in play, no licensings, they're nobodies. So I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Now, US debt hits 125% of the GDP. What's next for global economy? So the US debt is reaching higher numbers than ever before. The new reports are basically in right now. And we're going to go through them, and I'll tell you if it's bullish. It pretty much is. As the global economy tries to stabilize after years of uncertainty, US public debt is drawing in renowned attentions indeed, with the levels reaching 125% of GDP in 2024 and a growing budget deficiency. This issue is worrying international institutions, notably the European Central Bank. Thus, the recent statements from the Vice President, Luis, highlights the urgency of a situation as potential repercussions on the Eurozone. The US public debt continues to climb, reaching an unprecedented levels. According to recent data, it now amounts to 125% of the gross domestic, essentially GDP, of the United States. The budget deficit, essentially for this part, surged to 6.4% of the GDP in 2024, up from 6.2% from the previous year. Luis, the vice president of the ECB, European Central Bank, stated at the banking conference in Frankfurt that the debt could explode with an additional $15 trillion over the next decade. According to the committee, a responsible federal budget, CRFB, this scenario raises concerns about the United States' ability to contain these budgetary imbalances. Such a situation is partly the result of current economic policies, promises of essentially tax cuts, combined with maintaining public spendings, risk exacerbating and budgetary imbalances, and moreover, the tariffs instituted by Trump administration are not enough to compensate for these declines in tax revenues. This dynamic, referred to as essentially an XXL situation, is already weighing in on the value of the dollar, which is appreciating against the euros, thereby distributing a trade imbalance. Beyond American borders, the colossal debt of the United States represents a direct threat of a global economy. Moreover, with 23% of this debt held by foreign investors, a crisis could significantly essentially affect international financial markets. Maria, the director of essentially Pickett Research Institutions, summarizes the situation as this: the rest of the world has a lot to lose in the event of the US debt crisis, as it financed the American deficit by purchasing the dollars, treasury bonds, and American stocks. Concerns are growing as essentially the economic policies heighten trade tensions and reduce market stability. For the Eurozone, the potential consequences are equally essentially significant. While the ECB, the European Central Bank, strives to stabilize inflation around 2%, the poor economic performance of the last quarter reveals declining productivity and revised growth prospects. Luis warns that these cynical headwinds exaggerate the structural problems of Eurozone, compromising efforts to enhance economic resilience. Apparently, the EU is scared that America's market space is going to be crashing But when are they expecting a crash? Apparently in 15 years' time. So the EU essentially is thinking the US market space is going to be crashing, and another $15 trillion on the American debt can add a lot of weight and pressure, not just on the American market space, but because if the American market space sneezes, the world marketplace catches a cold, which is what the Bank of International Settlements has said, which is a quote that perfectly resembles what the market space is based on. Now, is that bullish? Is that bearish? Depends on how you look at it. If we do go through a massive bubble and the market just pops and goes sliding downwards, then, you know, if you're positioned well in cash reserves, you can buy that up and come back up. There's the other scenario as well. If they've already priced in a crash coming, so 2008 happened because people got greedy. So the crash that happened in 2008 is because the banks got greedy by giving up houses to anybody that anybody that couldn't even afford it. So the banks got greedy in 2008, which caused the crash. Now, the crash that we're going to be heading maybe towards can be, you know, we can loop around it in some sort of way, but that's only if they priced it in. If Wall Street has priced in a massive crash that's going to be heading our way, then most likely they're going to be hedging against that massive crash in alternative assets. Now, if traditional financial assets are going to be sliding downwards because of the market space, then an alternative asset to that would be crypto. It used to be gold, but you can also go for crypto. So two ways of looking at it. One, market slides downwards, and if you have cash reserves, you're buying the bottom, coming back up again. Second option is the market doesn't crash the way we think it's going to crash. Instead, the crypto market does a opposite reaction to the traditional market space, and it goes up because they've priced in a crash happening. 2008, the majority of people didn't see 2008 coming. The greed just got out of control in 2008, and then the market crashed. The real estate market crashed, and that was the end of it. This time around, if they priced in a scenario of a crash coming in, then they're going to be hedging against it. If they hedge against it, then crypto should react the opposite way to traditional assets. So keep that in mind regarding the US debt. It could go either way. It could be it crashes with the stock market, or it could be it goes the opposite to the stock market and goes up because they priced in a crash happening. Because 2008, they didn't see it coming. The majority of people didn't see it coming because the greed was just too much out of control. This time around, the greed is still out of control, but they might be able to price it in and go for an alternative asset. So now what we're going to be talking about next, essentially, is MicroStrategy. But before we go through the MicroStrategy news, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see what's going on there, and then we'll go straight into the next news. What about Proton XPR? It's not a must-have asset in any sort of a way. XRP just touched $2 and crashed back to $1. War and Chosen. Does XDC have a max supply? Yes. All of them do. It's on CMC. If you want to see the max supply of any crypto project, go to CoinMarketCap, type in the crypto project in the search bar, type in the crypto project, click on the crypto project, and it will tell you everything you need to know about that crypto asset. Now, MicroStrategy is what we'll talk about next. MicroStrategy was officially the first Bitcoin ETF, you could say MST or stock. MicroStrategy is getting ready to buy more Bitcoin, a lot more Bitcoin. MicroStrategy Bitcoin spendings spree continues with a $4.6 billion more. $4.6 billion more. MicroStrategy just went on its biggest Bitcoin shopping spree yet. The company spent $4.6 billion between November 11th and 17th, scooping up 51,780 Bitcoins in a single week. The news, essentially the reports have just came out now. And there are new reports today that even came out further on this amount, that MicroStrategy has raised another $1.7 billion they're going to be sending on buying Bitcoin. According to its filings with the SEC, the company's total Bitcoin stash now sits over $29 billion. For a business that started out selling enterprise softwares, MicroStrategy has essentially transformed into a full-blown Bitcoin whale. The man behind this relentless of Bitcoin buying is Michael Saylor, the company's co-founder and chairman. Back in 2020, Saylor bet on Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation. Initially, the company used cash for its purchases, but Saylor upped the ante. Now, MicroStrategy sells stocks and issues convertible debt and bankrolls its Bitcoin addiction. If you think $4.6 billion is crazy, from Sailor. Sailor says that the company plans to raise another $42 billion over the next 3 years or 2 years. He's not slowing down, which is true. I revealed this before. They're going to be raising $42 billion, $21 billion, $21 billion at a time. Naturally, MicroStrategy stock MSTR price moves like it's tied to Bitcoin with an invincible leash. On November 18th, MSTR shares opened at around $370.01. The price bounced between $339.37 and $377.34 throughout the day. The company's market cap now sits around $74.94 billion, with 15.2 million shares traded that day. While the volume is slightly below its average of 16.9 million shares, it's clearly investors are keeping a close eye on every move the company takes. If Bitcoin goes up, MSTR usually follows it. If Bitcoin tanks, well, you can guess what happens to the stock. It follows Bitcoin tanking. MicroStrategy now owns 331,200 Bitcoins. That's worth a staggering $16.5 billion based on what the company has spent to accumulate it. The average cost of MicroStrategy buying Bitcoin was around $49,874 per Bitcoin. Compare that to the $88,627 average price tag for this latest haul, and you see just how committed they are even at sky-high prices. Remember what I said? I said that institutions, a lot of people forget. I said a lot of people forget that institutions have a lot of money. And institutions don't care about discounts. So people who always assumed that, institutions won't get involved inside the crypto space because some cryptos are too priced high. Their prices are too high and institutions won't buy them and so on, which I say is the dumbest. Look, it's the dumbest thing to ever think about, because if corporates see potential in any asset, crypto or not crypto, it doesn't matter what the price is because they can afford it. The high-profile corporates can afford it. They don't care what the price is because they're not looking at it as they're going to be selling it for a quick profit. They're going to be looking at it as 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30-year projections. And they'll buy it at any price. And I've always said this, and I always stand by it because I'm right. And, going back to what people were saying a very long time ago, $20,000 Bitcoins never happened. I was the only one saying it's never going to happen, $20,000 Bitcoins. Never going to happen, because of institutions. And coming back fast forward to the day with MicroStrategy buying Bitcoin around $88,000. Just a few nights ago on this live, I said that MicroStrategy will be buying Bitcoin at 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And remember that me saying that MicroStrategy will be buying essentially Bitcoin at these prices because they don't care. They have money. Institutions don't need retail to jump out for discounts at all, because the retail tend to push themselves out, and they're not looking for discounts because they're seeing as a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year projection. If they see an interest in an asset that can potentially grow and bring some income into them, then they're going to go for it no matter what the price is. And I was saying this a few nights ago, that MicroStrategy will be buying Bitcoin at 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and their new report comes out. MicroStrategy's latest purchase was they spent essentially $4.6 billion. They spent $4.6 billion buying Bitcoin at $88,000. If institutions see potential in a crypto asset, they couldn't care less what the price is, or any asset for that matter, because they're seeing it as a long-term projection. If it brings money to the table, that's all they care about in the long-term phase. Now, so don't ever think to yourself, don't ever assume that institutions want to push you out of your positions, because some people inside the retail section, the majority of the retail section, tend to push themselves out because they want to jump out for quick profit. But institutions will buy and buy and buy and buy if they see essentially a potential in their asset. Now, and some assets struggled because they were being held back by lawsuits and so on. So if you're wondering to yourself, why did institutions not buy XRP? Well, because they were being sued for a massive lawsuit, which is either going to be dismissed or settled now with a new SEC chairman. So XRP is good to go. And the 3 XRP ETFs that have already been filed in, that's going to boost the outcome even more. Now, we have an update on the 18 US states. 18 US states filed the lawsuits against the SEC and Gary Gensler. Now, I revealed this a few nights ago on this live, that Gary Gensler is being sued by 18 US states. We have an update on this matter now. We have an update on Gary Gensler's suing situation. So here's the update. Sorry about that. 18 US states have filed a lawsuit against the Securities and Exchange Commission SEC chairman Gary Gensler, accusing the financial regulator of gross government overreach against the crypto industry. The plaintiffs include Nebraska, these are the 18 states that are suing Gary Gensler. Nebraska, Tennessee, Wyoming, Kentucky, West Virginia, Iowa, Texas, Mississippi, Ohio, Montana, and others. The legal complaints all read the same thing. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has not respected this allocation of authority. Instead, without congressional authorization, the SEC has sought to essentially worst the regulatory authority away from the US states through an ongoing series of enforcement actions. That's the same thing that's stated on all their lawsuits. According to the Blockchain Association, the SEC's various legal actions against the crypto industry have accumulated a cost of crypto firms around $426 million since 2021. Industry executives have long criticized the agency's lack of coherent digital asset policies as the biggest hurdles and developers face inside the United States. Following the elections of Donald Trump, essentially shaking up the SEC's leadership is widely expected by investors and industry executives, and may come as early as January 2025 when Trump assumes office. Several individuals are reportedly being considered as potential replacements for Gary Gensler, including SEC Commissioner Mark, who has been an outspoken critic of Gary Gensler's compliance for enforcement approach. Mark also appeared on Fox Business as well, and he discussed matters of how disastrous this whole situation is with the SEC. Dan, also the Robinhood Chief Legal Compliance and Corporate Affairs Officer, who's also been considered for the role, was essentially SEC Commissioner between 2011 and 2015, and was gearing up to fight against the Wells notice sent by the SEC to Robinhood, because Dan now works at Robinhood. Despite the looming promise of the removal from the incoming President of the United States, Gensler doubled down on his anti-crypto theoretic in a speech prepared for his practicing law institution 56th annual institution on securities regulations. Yes, it is true. Gary Gensler is that dumb. If you're wondering to yourself, is Gary Gensler really that dumb? Well, he is. Because even though 18 US states officially are suing him, Congress is trying to overthrow any cases he's got. He is going to be fired by the President of the United States. And the banking industry hates him as well. So does Wall Street. Wall Street hates Gary Gensler. They've said this multiple times because he goes after their companies going after crypto. Banks hate Gary Gensler because they can't work with crypto firms because Gary Gensler and the FDIC made sure of that. Congress hates Gary Gensler, and 18 US states hate Gary Gensler. The only person that likes Gary Gensler is Gary Gensler himself. And I said this before, this man must be exceptionally delusional because he believes he's bringing something good to the table, while as everybody else around him in the same career path are telling him, no, you're not. So this is what Gary Gensler said at the commissioner's meeting, his big speech. This is a field in which over the years there has been significant investor harm. This is how he started it off. That the crypto space is a space just filled with investor harm. Well, if you maybe did your job and brought some regulations, maybe the harm can go away inside crypto spaces. Gensler wrote, he continued, aside from speculative investings and possible use for illicit activities, the vast majority of crypto assets have yet to be proved a sustainable use case, which is also a load of BS. Him stating that aside from speculative investing, when it comes to crypto assets, it's speculative investing. The stock market is speculative investing. You can invest into a stock today and the company could come crashing down Monday morning when the doors open. Any asset is speculative, stock or crypto, just to put it in perspective. Second, if you want a market space that is not filled with criminals, maybe regulate it. Maybe do the job that you were assigned to do, which was regulated. Gary Gensler did not bring out any rules and regulations. And then obviously people are going to get scammed inside the group. It's like, honestly, the best way to put it. This is how dumb Gary Gensler is. His explanation. It's like being in charge of the safety of a country. Very simple. Just picture it like this. It's like you being in charge of us for the safety of a country, making sure nobody steals from each other, making sure essentially nobody harms one another, but you don't have any rules. And if somebody does decide to harm one another, you decide to sue them individually, but there's no rules. So nobody knows what is really a gray area, unless they come knocking on your door, and then you know you went across the gray area. Gary Gensler has created a market space for crypto assets with no rules. And when things go south, he blames the crypto space. That is the dumbest perception to have on a market space, possibly to date. How can you be in charge of regulating a market space, but refuse to regulate the market space, and then wait for people to cross lines to sue them, and then say, well, the market space is filled with criminals? The only reason people get away with things inside the crypto space is because you let them get away. You let some people get away while you sue the rest to make sure you've done something. So his thought pattern is ridiculously stupid. His mentality is he's just a delusional person who hasn't done his job but blames others for his own mistakes. His job was to regulate the market space. He hasn't regulated it since day one because he refuses to regulate it, but then blames the crypto market space when things go south. Well, if we don't have regulations, you can't blame us if things go south. Honestly, I've never met somebody as delusional as Gary Gensler. On the topic of Gary Gensler and his delusional mindset, there are many perspectives on the matter, but this one we're going to go through. So the CEO of Consensus was being sued. Well, Consensus received a Wells notice from the SEC. They're going to be sued, which led to Consensus just suing the SEC instead. Now, this is a perspective from the CEO of Consensus, which is extremely similar to what a former SEC member has said. A former SEC prosecuting chairman has came up forward and said that recently, that when Gary Gensler resigns or gets fired, all of his cases, every single case inside the crypto space Gary Gensler has touched will either be dismissed or settled, is what a former SEC commissioner came out and said. Any case Gary Gensler has touched will either be dismissed or settled inside the crypto space. Ironically, the CEO of Consensus has the same thought pattern. The SEC crypto cases will be dismissed or settled under Trump, says Consensus CEO. The ongoing legal battles between crypto firms and the United States securities regulators will likely fade away, with Donald Trump essentially re-elected as the 47th president of the United States, says Consensus CEO Joe Lubin. He said, so my guess is, in a way, is not embarrassing. They figure out ways to get the cases dismissed or settled or something like that. Of course, it's going to be embarrassing either way they look at it. It's going to be incredibly embarrassing for the SEC. It's already embarrassing for the SEC, to be fairly honest. Maybe not all the cases, maybe not all the elements of the case, but I have a feeling that our industry is going to save hundreds of millions of dollars going forward, he said. Lubin's comments came after Trump won the presidential elections. Trump's win was essentially applauded by the crypto industry due to their several pro-crypto policies and promises he made throughout his election campaign. One promise in particular was to fire Gary Gensler, the SEC commissioner. And there is also a growing optimism that Trump will fill this cabinet with pro-crypto individuals. I think that Trump's transition team is already moving aggressively forward, he said. Trump is pretty good politician, Lubin declared, before adding, whatever you say about him, he picks up the momentum and moves forward. Trump is the type of politician or type of president. If he says something, he's doing it. We know that for sure, unlike other presidents and prime ministers. This significant win for the crypto industry, especially within the US, as the SEC has been locked in an ongoing legal battles of majority of crypto exchanges, including Binance and Coinbase, along with essentially back and forth cases against Ripple since December 2020. Lubin touched on Consensus filing a lawsuit against the SEC and its 5 commissioners in April over the regulator's plan to regulate the ETH as essentially security. I think our lawsuit lit a fire Consensus came forward, essentially the CEO, and said that their lawsuit was the one that set a fire to Gary Gensler. He said, I think our lawsuit lit a fire. That fire was picked up by the law, he said. In the filing, Consensus alleged that the SEC had orchestrated a campaign to seize control over the future of cryptocurrencies, with the enforcement actions aimed at regulating Ether as a security. Lubin said that the SEC was attempting to argue that Ethereum 2.0 is different from the old Ether. And I think that what we're trying to do, as essentially what we say, Ether under Ethereum 2.0 is different thing than Ether. And also that old Ether, find whatever Bill Hillman said, we don't care. Call it a commodity, but this new Ethereum is obviously a security, is what he said. So, Consensus CEO comes out, exact same perspective as the former SEC commissioner has. The former SEC commissioner coming out and saying that the cases that Gary Gensler has touched inside the crypto space will either be dismissed or settled. Consensus CEO coming out also saying that either these cases will be essentially dismissed or settled. And it's going to be very embarrassing for the SEC dismissing or settling these cases. It is going to be very embarrassing for the SEC. You know, there's been members inside the SEC that have said the Ripple case is wrong. For example, Hester Pierce. Hester Pierce, a current SEC commissioner. She's a current SEC commissioner. She's came out before in the past and said that the case between the SEC and Ripple makes no sense. She is a current SEC commissioner. She works besides Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler is her boss, and she's came out before and said that the Ripple case with the SEC makes no sense. And Hester Pierce is also one of the chosen people to be taking Gary Gensler's seat. Now, what we're going to be talking about next is New York prosecutors suggest office will scale back on crypto cases. You see how interesting that is? Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, and all of a sudden, everybody behaves themselves. As I said previously, I'll say it again. Thank God Trump won. Honestly, thank God Trump won. Because this man is making everybody behave themselves. Where US states are suing SEC Chairman Gary Gensler, where the New York prosecutors are suggesting that essentially New York is going to be scaling down or scaling back on crypto lawsuits. A prosecutor from the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York has suggested that authorities are devoting fewer resources to bringing cases involving cryptocurrency-related crimes. Speaking at the Practice and Law Institution's 56th Annual Institution on Securities and Regulations, Scott Hartman reportedly said that there would not be as much crypto stuff coming out of the latest, essentially, SDY future. Hartman, as the co-chief of the Securities and Commodities Fraud Task Force at the SD, essentially NY, hinted that many of its criminal cases against high-profile executives like former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried were filed in response to the crypto market's downtrend of 2022. We brought a lot of big cases in the wake of the crypto winter, said Hartman. There were a lot of important fraud cases to bring there, but we know our regulatory partners are very active in this space. Prosecutors in New York Southern District have several pending cases involving crypto firms or their executives, including former Celsius CEO Alex. The Securities and Exchange Commission has filed lawsuits against Coinbase and Ripple Labs in the region, and Hartman's comments come less than 24 hours after President Trump's elected, essentially, the President of the United States, and also intended to nominate former SEC Chairman Jay Clinton to serve as the U.S. Attorney for SDNY. So, not only is Gary Gensler getting fired, and we're going to have a new SEC Chairman, which means bullish, but New York is also going to be backtracking on crypto cases. New York has sued multiple crypto companies. They've sued Ripple before, they've sued Coinbase, and they're going to be backtracking on all their cases. One man makes everybody behave themselves. It's no longer everybody eats for themselves. It's everybody eats together. is what happens with Trump in power. So New York is also going to be stepping back from their crypto lawsuits. So not only is the cases from the SEC going to be either dismissed or settled with crypto cases, but New York is also going to be backtracking their cases as well. Amazing news. Incredibly bullish, honestly. Incredibly bullish. Now, before we go for the next news, let's go inside the comment section. The next news is about an investor with $8 billion of wealth. Makes a huge step in the crypto industry. But before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer the questions you may have. Gary, get the hell out. I agree 100%. Does XDC have? Yes, it does. Sold my VET for XLM last week, trying to reduce my portfolio. Fair enough. DOT has not done well for me, looking at LCX or just more XLM. XLM, preferably XLM. Mr. Burns is a real piece of work, though. Hell yeah, of course, Texas in the lawsuit against Gary G. Love the energy, bro. You were definitely missed. Let's go, Ray. Thank you for that, brother. Every time Gary Gensler posts something on his X account, all you see in the comments is F. Is it true there is a document where ETH is a security? Regarding a document, ETH is a security, yes or no. But is Ethereum a security? Technically, apparently, even from Consensus CEO, yes. And the Consensus CEO is basically MetaMask. So MetaMask's CEO is essentially claiming the company behind MetaMask, the CEO of that company, is claiming that ETH is a security as well. Now, investor with $8 billion of wealth makes a huge Bitcoin step, $160 million. Renowned hedge fund manager Paul Tudor Jones has made a significant investment in Bitcoin ETFs, investing around $160 million in BlackRock's iShare Bitcoin Trust ETF, IBIT. The filing by the Tudor's investment hedge fund places the firm among the top 10 IBET holders, according to Bloomberg data. Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric also called the investment a big win for Bitcoin, noting that Jones, a respected investor, has been evaluating his options and finds in ETFs to be the best option for exposure. The timing of the investment comes aimed at renowned interest in Bitcoin following Donald Trump's victory in the US presidential elections, leading to an optimism about the favorable crypto elections and regulations. Bitcoin prices have soared, reaching all-time highs above $93,000 this month. Jones, a longtime Bitcoin advocate, has previously described BTC as a strong hedge against inflation alongside gold. He has suggested allocating 5% of investment portfolios to Bitcoin in 2020 for diversification purposes. Despite his bullish stance, current IBIT holdings represent just 1.7% of Tudor's investments, $9 billion in assets under management. Jones' investments comes as a hedge funds increasingly embrace market strategies such as Bitcoin basic tradings, which exploits the price differences between Bitcoin futures and ETFs. Last week, the difference reached about 17%, a level not seen since Bitcoin ETFs were launched in January. Large institution firms are also entering the Bitcoin ETF space. Wall Street Giants remains the largest, Millennium remains the largest Bitcoin ETF holder in US completely, with $1.9 billion investments in Bitcoin ETFs, representing 2.4% of its $70 billion in assets under management. Other notable holders include Squashinum, Horizon, Kinetics, and Jane Street Group, reflecting strong institutional appetite for Bitcoin ETFs. So another massive hedge fund, $8 billion hedge fund, a very respected hedge fund, just entered the Bitcoin ETF space. It's quite massive because that's just going to bring more eyes from institutions. It's great to see, the adoption happening. A good news for Bitcoin is a good news for the entire crypto space because it brings eyes on blockchain in general. I said this previously, and it's true. Now, SBI is what we're going to talk about next. SBI, UBS, and Chainlink. If you're somebody that's holding Chainlink, this is amazing news. SBI, UBS, and Chainlink complete a pilot for automated tokenized fund solutions. SBI Digital Markets, UBS Asset Management, and Chainlink have successfully completed a pilot program showcasing the use of smart contracts to manage tokenized funds. The companies announced this essentially today, noting that the solution brings automated tokenized fund managements to markets and leverages Chainlink infrastructure. With this solution, users can automate their tokenized fund management processes, unlocking blockchain capabilities for the world's $132 trillion assets under management market space. And utterly, the total real-world asset on chain represents a market of around $13.2 billion. According to a press release, the tokenized fund pilot demonstrated how fund managers can leverage smart contracts and Chainlink cross-chain interoperability protocol to efficiently scale their products on-chain and across distributors. Central to its initiatives is the digital transfer agent smart contract model, a novel fund administration system that utilizes multiple Chainlink or Coral networks. SBI's custodian and fund distributors successfully deployed this model due to essentially enabling a multi-chain subscriptions and redemptions. As the tokenized funds industry evolves to attract the world's top players, the demand for on-chain administration is increasing. Notably, a recent report revealed that 93% of funds services providers do not offer full automations for their data inputs and workflow processes. This lack of automation creates a key bottleneck for traditional fund operators. However, smart contracts or Coral networks and tokenized fund essentially provide the asset management industry with a pathway for full automation. This new way of launching fund structures and administrating them via smart contracts empowers both fund managers and their service providers to deliver a new on-chain financial product and lower operational cost to investors, both things they are actively looking for, said Wisdom, essentially the Chief Executive Officer at SBI Digital Markets. The solution, currently live on various blockchain testnets, will go soon to the mainnet. And SBI Digital Markets, UBS Asset Management, and Chainlink announced the solution at Singapore FinTech Festival, launching it as a part of a monetary authority of Singapore's Project Guardian. This development follows a partnership between Swift, UBS Asset Management, and Chainlink, aimed at bridging tokenized assets with legacy payment systems. UBS also recently unveiled a pilot for cross-border payments called UBS Digital Cash. So, UBS, Chainlink, SBI, their testings successful, which means most likely they're going to be going forward on smart contracts, or they're going to be using other blockchains for more testings as well. Either way, it's brilliant news for Chainlink. Honestly, brilliant news for Chainlink. If you're holding Chainlink, that's good news. Now, one thing that is on some people's mindset, maybe, is what happens in the event of an accident. Let's say if somebody, passes away of natural causes, what happens to their crypto assets? Which is a very common question you could say inside the crypto space. What happens if, for example, I'm holding crypto assets and one day I just, I could get hit by something or pass away? What happens to my crypto assets? There must be, some sort of a plan. Maybe me leaving a note to a family member saying this is how you access that crypto assets, which makes it difficult because family members might not be able to, even if you leave them a note on how to access your crypto wallet, they still might not be able to figure it out, which means they need to use third-party companies and third-party people, which isn't safe. So what happens in the event of somebody passing away to their crypto assets? Well, there are two solutions now. There used to be one solution, but now there are two. There's a crypto company that offers inheritance plans where you can write your will as a smart contract. And the moment you pass away, it could be natural causes or other causes, the smart contract is initiated and the crypto assets get instantly transferred into whoever you left your will to. So instead of somebody reading out your will to your family members and saying, well, this is how much crypto he had, and this is his wallet, and your family members will get your crypto wallet and will look at it and go, well, how do we access it? Well, he left this note with some 24 seed phrases, and this is how you do it, step one, step two, step. So instead of all of those headache scenarios and maybe something goes south and they lose their crypto assets, there's a company that's a crypto inheritance company where they create a smart contract as a will that you can leave behind. The moment you pass away, that smart contract is initiated and your crypto assets are distributed to your family's wallet, a wallet that pretty much they must have access to, where they can spend it. Now, the other solution is this. Expo Bank. Expo Bank is quite big, and the history of how it started is quite interesting as well. We're not going to get the history of how it started, but their branch is in quite a lot of countries, in America, South America, and in the UK. They're regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. They have licenses to operate as a crypto bank. So Expo Bank, located in Gibraltar, has introduced a new Bitcoin inheritance plan. According to the announcement, this allows its members to name multiple beneficiaries for their assets, including Bitcoin. This feature provides a safe and efficient way to prepare for the future, ensuring that digital and traditional wealth can quickly be passed on to loved ones. This new service is simple to use. It lets the UK and global members set up their legacy plans in under 5 minutes. You can write your will in under 5 minutes. Unlike many traditional, essentially, inheritance options, Expo Bank Services has a no ongoing fees. So if you set up an inheritance plan with Expo Bank for your crypto assets, they won't charge you a single penny for holding your crypto assets in your inheritance plan at all, making it a good choice for people looking for affordable ways to manage their wealth. Expo Bank combines regular banking services with modern digital asset solutions, making it a convenient place to secure and grow wealth. Currently, Expo Bank members can benefit from competitive interest rates. USD accounts earn 4.1% interest, while Bitcoin accounts offer a 1% interest. These rates make Expo Bank an attractive option for those wanting to diversify their investments and earning steady returns. The Bitcoin inheritance features also helps solve an important issue in the cryptocurrency world, securely passing on digital assets compared to physical belongings. Cryptocurrencies can be permanently lost if the owner takes steps to ensure others can access them after they essentially pass away. By allowing clients to assign multiple beneficiaries, Expo Bank reduces the risk and provides peace of mind for clients and their families. Recall to that, Bitcoin-friendly bank has expanded into the UK market by transferring its banking license to the country. As such, Expo Bank is now the first UK bank to provide accounts offering interest on both BTC and fiat and meeting cryptocurrency service needs. Intriguingly, customers can access interest-bearing accounts on Bitcoin as standard currencies. This allows them to spread their investments and make money on their holdings. As per the press release, Expo Bank provides a 1% interest rate on Bitcoin without requiring customers to stake, lend, or lock up their assets. Just by holding Bitcoin with that bank, you're getting 1%. You don't even have to lock it up or stake your Bitcoin. The Financial Conduct Authority and the Bank of England, the regulatory authority, and the Gibraltar authorities made the banking license possible. Last year, Circle, a crypto financial services firm, abandoned the SWIFT platform as well and collaborated with Expo Bank. As reported, Circle will also be using USDC, Expo Bank to incorporate the USDC stablecoin payment rails in the SWIFT as a SWIFT substitute. Interestingly, the partnership made Expo Bank the first licensed bank globally to integrate USDC payment rails. Under their agreement, customers will deposit and withdraw money using stablecoins with no fees from Expo Bank, thus avoiding expensive and time-consuming SWIFT payments. Similarly, the bank offers a one-to-one exchange rate from USDC to USDT. The USDC deposit also is converted to USD, giving members a 4.1% annual interest rate on their savings returns. So, Expo Bank is offering multiple services. Where they will just essentially hand over your crypto assets to your family members, which I think is a great idea. But obviously, the better solution would be for you to teach at least one family member how to access crypto wallets. So when the time comes and an accident does happen and you do pass away, at least you've taught one family member how to use crypto assets. That will be a better option for me. But if somebody's out there and that might not be a good option for them, an option like this is always something, if you want to consider, where a bank will do all the inheritance work for you, and they won't even charge you a single penny for it. So Expo Bank that's what they're offering right now. Now, there is news spreading that a former Binance US CEO could be chosen for the SEC chairman seat. This is what we're going to talk about next. Wallet and keys, true. Oh, wow. Expo Bank, noted. It's, okay, the spelling of Expo Bank is X-Apo Bank. So it's X-A-P-O Bank. X-A-P-O Bank, if you want to look it up. Does that mean that the company will have access to your passphrases and seed phrases? No. What it actually means is the company already has your assets. So what you do is you transfer your assets into the bank. It means that you would have to transfer your crypto assets into that bank. And when the time comes, the bank will transfer those assets to your family members' accounts. Now, that's what it means. So it's not seed phrases in that type of scenario. It's just they're holding the assets for you instead as a bank. Former Binance US CEO Brooks named potential SEC chairman candidate. Brian Brooks has been named one of the potential candidates for SEC head. According to a prediction platform, Kelsey, Brooks has previously served as a Binance.US CEO and Chief Legal Officer of Coinbase. Based on the prediction market space, Brian Brooks' name has come up as one of the top picks for Gary Gensler's potential replacement, alongside big crypto advocates like Robinhood's Chief Legal Officer Dan, and the crypto mom Hester Pierce, and the SEC Commissioner Mark, and crypto dad regarding Jay Christopher as well. Many traders on X responded positively to Brooks on the list, using the hashtag Brian Brooks for SEC and tagging Donald Trump in their post. Brooks addressed the speculations by outlining the key initiatives. He believes the future SEC head should prioritize to foster a more crypto-friendly financial sector. Many of these initiatives are rooted in policies from previous Trump administrations during his tenure at the Office of Comptroller of the Currency. Whoever Donald Trump appoints as the SEC chairman won't be starting from scratch. This is the last administration President Trump built infrastructure for 2 alternate cycles, Brooks put in a post on X. The first item that he believes should be on is the SEC chairman's agenda, is giving national banks the green light to hold custody over crypto assets. Yes, banks should be able to hold crypto assets, but according to Gary Gensler, they should be holding as liabilities on their balance sheets, which is the dumbest thing Gary Gensler. I mean, Gary Gensler has done very stupid things in his life, but that's also one of them as well. He notes that the SEC would need to have a qualified custodian for institutional crypto asset management, which is true, and that is quite interesting. You see, Brian Brooks made comments after it was mentioned that he could be the one that is the next chairman of the SEC. And one of the comments Brian Brooks made was that the SEC, the new SEC with a new chairman, would need a qualified custodian for institutional crypto asset management. Now, a qualified custodian so far could be Coinbase up to a certain extent, but even Coinbase is being sued by the SEC. Another one that is a qualified custodian for institutional crypto asset management is Ripple. Ripple, IBM, Metaco, HSBC, they created the highest grade custody service for commercial use purposes this world has ever seen. That would be an interesting one, that a new SEC chairman comes into play, and potentially it could be Coinbase that the SEC would need, or it could be Ripple that the SEC would need. It's an outcome. It's not the outcome, but it's an outcome. But it's interesting that he mentioned that. Second, he said the SEC would have to provide a clear guidance for bank deposits that support stablecoins. As stablecoins can strengthen Americans' global reserve currency status, next would be authorizing financial firms to serve as a validator nodes on blockchains, to further legitimize them and put blockchains on the same level as the ATM and SWIFT. He also referenced the OCC's conditional approval of essentially trust companies' conversions into digital banks, which he sees as a blueprint for progressive steps in the crypto asset custody service. In short, the first Donald Trump administration moved the needle on these issues. The next SEC chairman doesn't have to start from zero. Once a senior deputy, essentially, and chief operating officer at the OCC, Brooks has been an active figure inside the crypto industry, holding executive positions in Coinbase, Bitfury Group, and Binance US. Brooks' track record and experience in both crypto industry and the economic policy sector make him a favorable pick to replace Gary Gensler as the SEC chairman. So, is it going to be Brooks that replaces Gary Gensler? If so, Brooke already has some plans and ideas of how he thinks things should move about inside the SEC. He's already got his plans weighed out. He's just waiting to see if it's going to be him. But what is going to be funny is, Gary Gensler getting fired is obviously going to be funny. And you shouldn't laugh when people get fired, but that man deserves it. What's going to be funny is the SEC sued Binance. Still suing Binance. The SEC is still suing Binance, but sued Binance as well. And the person that might be replacing Gary Gensler is from the same company he's suing and has sued in the past. That's going to be a funny one. That's him suing Binance and still currently suing Binance again, and a Binance former member is going to be the one replacing him. Yeah, that's what you can pretty much call the tables have turned. That's the definition of the tables have turned. Because if this man becomes the chairman of the SEC, he was a guy that was being sued by the SEC, and now taking his job, the guy that sued him from the SEC. The definition of the tables have turned is just going to be played out. Now, moving on from the potential candidates of the SEC chairman to Ripple CEO. So apparently, there has been some criticism against Ripple CEO, where some people are saying that Ripple CEO is anti-Bitcoin, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire lifetime. So, the people that are criticizing him are obviously some Bitcoin maxi people. Ripple CEO moves to show XRP and CBDC implementations and faces criticism. Ripple Labs' CEO, Brad, is facing criticism after reportedly promoting XRP and CBDC policies at a rumored meeting with the Republican Party President-elect Donald Trump. Rumors about Brad's alleged meeting with Trump began circulating on social media after the CEO appeared in an interview with Fox Business. While Brad neither confirmed nor denied the news, the report meeting coincided with Ripple's native currency, XRP, doing double-digit rally to $1. Crypto industry's reaction to the alleged meeting, although Brad expressed his optimism about the digital asset landscape and the future under Donald Trump's administration, citing the presidential-elect's pro-crypto stance, industry executives didn't welcome the news of his reported meetings and took to X to call the CEO out. Now, by referring to industry executives, they're chatting out the complete BS. Some Bitcoin maxis, CEOs, some Bitcoin maxi companies, minor companies, not major in any sort of way, are upset that essentially Brad is having sit-downs with Donald Trump, that Brad is talking about XRP, that Brad might be pushing CBDC agendas on Donald Trump. There are Bitcoin maxi people that are angry at this matter, that the CEO of Ripple is having conversations with Trump, that the CEO of Ripple is talking about XRP. The CEO of Ripple is essentially talking about CBDCs to Trump. What I can say to that is very stupid. The guy is one of the people behind Ripple. Simplest way to put it. Brad is one of the people behind Ripple. They created an asset by the name of XRP. And you're upset that Brad, who owns a company named Ripple, is promoting a crypto asset they created called XRP. Are you that afraid of XRP? Are Bitcoin maxis? It's because the only rational thought I can possibly have is, Are you that afraid of XRP? Because what you've just shown there are signs of weakness. Some Bitcoin Maxi executives have came out and said that they're unhappy with Brad having a sit down with Trump, with Brad talking about XRP with Trump, with Brad and so on and so on, with XRP Brad. Are you that afraid of XRP's potential? Honestly, it's the only question I can ask the Bitcoin Maxi executives that are disgusted by Brad having conversations with Trump about XRP. Are you that afraid of XRP's potential alongside other assets that you're coming out and criticizing a company owner for talking about his own product? Because I'll tell you what, Cardano's CEO has had sit-downs with presidents and prime ministers and is trying to get a sit-down with Trump. Not a single Bitcoin Maxi executive came out and said, why is Cardano's CEO talking to Donald Trump? Not a single Bitcoin Maxi executive came out even once. When Cardano's CEO was saying, I want to talk with Donald Trump, the Bitcoin Maxis didn't care that Cardano's CEO was going to talk to Trump about Cardano. But all of a sudden, Ripple's CEO, essentially, Brad, talking to Donald Trump about XRP, it's threat levels for Bitcoin Maxis. So the only question that's on the table is, are Bitcoin Maxis that much afraid of the potential of XRP, that the potential that it brings to the table? Are you that afraid of XRP's price point that you're outraged that a company's CEO member is talking about his own product? Because there's no rational thought behind it. Because there have been multiple other CEOs of multiple other crypto projects that are going to be having sit-downs with Trump. For example, Brian Armstrong, CEO of essentially Coinbase, had a sit-down with Trump today, which I said at the beginning of the live. Not a single Bitcoin Maxi person came out today and said, why is Brian Armstrong having sit-downs with Donald Trump? Because Brian Armstrong, Coinbase, Base Network. The Bitcoin Maxis didn't care that Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, was having a conversation with Trump today. And he can have conversations about Base Network with Trump. The Bitcoin Maxis didn't care. The Bitcoin Maxis didn't care when Cardano's founder is trying to have a sit-down with Donald Trump. They don't care about Cardano either. But XRP, they care. The Bitcoin executive Maxis care about XRP. It's almost like, honestly, they're afraid of its potential. Because why else would you be outraged that a CEO is coming out and talking about his assets? Brad, this is what they said. This is what they said. The Bitcoin executive Maxis, this is what they said. Brad is shilling XRP. Brad is shilling XRP and CBDC implementations. I am shilling, and he is shilling essentially American and smart opportunities that will sort of from Brad's perspective, he said that I'm talking to Trump because I'm going to be bringing a lot of opportunities to the American space through Ripple's company and so on and so on and so on. The Bitcoin executive Maxis was saying that he's shilling XRP and CBDC implementations. And he said that this is going to be damaging essentially Trump's legacy. Ripple's going to be damaging Trump's legacy. How afraid, genuinely, how afraid are the Bitcoin Maxi executives? They said, we are not the same. The Bitcoin Maxi executives said to Ripple CEO, we are not the same. I'll be honest. I'll be very honest. In this instance, I'll be very honest. In this instance, Ripple is like the Republican Party. To put it in the political, mindset, Ripple is like the Republican Party in this instance. Neutral, trying to be beneficial for everyone. The Bitcoin Maxis are acting like liberals or Democrats who say, we want blockchain to advance. The same way the Democrats and liberals would say, we want everybody to have freedom. We want, even though we do, up to some extent, we want everybody to be treated the same, is what the conservatives and the the liberal Democrats say, basically. We want everybody to be the same. But when it comes down to it, the liberals and the Democrats get very aggressive. The majority of the liberals and the Democrats get very aggressive when it comes down to this scenario of we want to be the same. Republicans couldn't care less about them. In this instance, it generally looks like Ripple is Republicans because Ripple's CEO hasn't responded to the Bitcoin Maxi acquisitions. And the other side is the Democrats, or basically Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin Maxis say blockchain all the way. Blockchain should be advancing, rules and regulations, everybody for crypto. But then one company is having a sit down with Trump. They're like, why is this one company having a sit down with Trump? This should not be allowed. And they only care about XRP. Comments to the thousands of followers. Riot platforms, and I just want to point this out. It's not every Bitcoin Maxi that's came out. It's a few executives that have came out and they're outraged. Comments to his thousands of followers. Riot Platforms Vice President of Research. Riot Platforms. Riot Platforms is a Bitcoin mining industry. Vice President of Research, Prior Rothschild, also expressed concerns about Brad's relationship with the new administration. A Bitcoin mining industry is upset that Ripple CEO is having a sit down with Trump, talking about XRP. Does it not seem like they're afraid of XRP's potential? Does it not really just seem like that they are afraid of what XRP can bring to this table? They said, we cannot let Ripple. This is what they said. This is Riot Platforms. They said, we cannot let Ripple co-opt to the United States policymaking process with their anti-Bitcoin agenda. Their anti-Bitcoin. When have you ever seen Ripple? I've never seen the CEO of Ripple going on Fox Business and saying he's against Bitcoin. Has anybody ever seen an interview of Brad on Fox, on Bloomberg, on CNBC, on CNN, on any news channel of Brad coming out and going, I am anti-Bitcoin? You see what I mean when I say Ripple is like Republicans in this scenario, and the Bitcoin Maxis are acting like Democrats and liberals, just spewing lies, complete lies, and getting aggressive for no apparent reason. Well, there might be a reason, because they're afraid that one side is stronger than the other, and that Ripple is stronger. He said, hopefully Trump will staff his administration with more Bitcoiners. Hopefully Trump will essentially staff his administrationers with Bitcoiners. Okay, the Bitcoin Maxis need to slow down, because claiming that Bitcoin is the only asset for this industry to move forward for the world, because the world only needs Bitcoin, false. You need to step back from your delusional mindsights. Bitcoin is a great asset, no doubt about it, but it has its struggles, and you can't be delusional to those struggles. It could barely process a payment. It will take 6 hours of difficulty. So there are difficulties. Look, I've said this before. Certain crypto assets will do very well in certain categories, and if you take that crypto asset out and put it in a different category, it will fail instantly. And I said this comparing it to any asset. I said if you take XRP, XRP will do excellent in the payment category. But if you take XRP and put it in the AI category, it will fail. I said XRP will do brilliant in the payments category. But if you take XRP and put it in the gaming category, it will fail, because it's not made for that category. And the same thing applies to every asset out there inside the crypto space. Some assets are just built for different purposes. And Bitcoin is not built for everything. Bitcoin is not a great foundation to build for AI. Bitcoin is a terrible foundation to build for AI. Bitcoin is a terrible foundation to be built for gaming. It's a stupid foundation. Bitcoin is a terrible foundation for payments, because it's slow and congested. It takes hours for payments to go through. However, Bitcoin is an amazing asset, like real estate, for example. You buy and you stick it on the side to borrow against. In that category, as a risk-off asset, it's good. Bitcoin should just remain in the risk-off asset category. A risk-off asset category is like gold. That's the category it would excel in further. So the Bitcoin maxis need to slow down, because claiming that Bitcoin is the king of all kings and all you need is Bitcoin for everything, because you don't. Bitcoin will fail in AI. Bitcoin will fail in gaming. Bitcoin will fail in Web3. It will fail in data storage. They tried to build NFTs on the Bitcoin network. Binance promoted the entire campaign. Bitcoin network, Bitcoin chain NFTs is the next new wave. Remember how fast that died out completely? Yeah, because Binance dropped the entire program. Binance started a Bitcoin NFT program and said, this is the next wave of Bitcoin, Bitcoin NFTs. Within 3 months, they shut down the program. Their reasonings? Because they made the network congested and slow, and there was no point. So the Bitcoin maxi needs to slow down a bit when they talk about Bitcoin, because as a risk-off asset, it's brilliant. But in any other category you put Bitcoin in, it's last performing asset. It's the last performing asset in any other category. If you put Bitcoin in the AI category, it's ranking last. If you put Bitcoin in the data category, it's ranking last because it's slow and congested. If you put Bitcoin in the gaming category, it's ranking last. So they need to slow down with Bitcoin everything. You don't need anything else inside of blockchain, because we do. We're going into a digital world, which means we need data storage. Going into a digital world means we need fast, reliable, secure data storage. Remember the key word here, fast, which is something that Bitcoin can't be applied to. Secure, sure, but fast doesn't apply to it. So we're going into a digital world where we need a bit of everything, not just one asset. We need a bit from the payment category, which is XRP, XLM, XDC. We need a bit for the digital world from the data category. We need some from the AI category, some from the gaming category, some from the Web3 category, and some from the risk-off asset category, which is Bitcoin. We need everything. Going into a digital world, we need a lot of crypto projects in different categories to advance further. But trying to rely on Bitcoin everything is the stupidest idea ever. And that's the reality of it. So the Bitcoin maxis and the Bitcoin mining institutions making these bold statements and allegations that Trump should be putting more Bitcoiner administrations in his campaign. Look, the reason why nobody likes Gary Gensler, is because he's biased. The reason why nobody likes Gary Gensler is because he's biased. For him, it was Bitcoin everything as well. And for him, it was Ethereum. We don't know if it's a security, but we'll green light it either way. He's biased. Nobody likes that. The reason why nobody likes Joe Biden and the Biden administration is because they censor everyone. And what I'm trying to say, how's the relevance to this, is because the Bitcoin maxis, by claiming these bold statements of they should just put more Bitcoiners in their administration, means they're going to become biased. It means that they're going to just say, F everybody else inside the crypto space. The Bitcoin maxis are trying to say, F everybody else inside the crypto space, F them all. All we care about is us. Basically, censor everybody else by putting more Bitcoin maxis around Trump and censor every other crypto project, Bitcoin all the way. That's wrong. We're supposed to be going forward in a fair world. So if you want to go forward in a fair world, there should be equal opportunities for everyone inside the crypto space. Every crypto project should get an equal opportunity to prove something to the table. So with the Bitcoin mining industries, this is a perspective from the Bitcoin mining industries making these bold allegations that they hate Ripple's CEO for being anti-Bitcoin. He was never anti-Bitcoin in the first place. The CEO of Ripple, Brad, has never went on any news channel and said, I'm anti-Bitcoin. So they're spewing lies already. And then for them to say, well, we should put more Bitcoin people around Trump and F everybody else. So that basically means Bitcoin all the way, F Ethereum, F Solana, F Cardano, F XRP, F essentially AVAX, F TON, F everybody inside the crypto space. Just Bitcoin. We're supposed to be going to a digital world where it's equal opportunities, fair table for everyone inside the crypto space. That was the whole point of a Trump presidency. The whole point of a Trump presidency was equal opportunity for everybody inside the crypto space. Not Bitcoin opportunity and F everybody else, because we already had that. We already had the Bitcoin opportunity. Gary Gensler was biased. He greenlighted Bitcoin and gave Bitcoin ETFs green lights as well. Everybody else's ETF, he couldn't care less. So we're supposed to be going into a world. The only reason Trump was elected by the crypto space is because we want every crypto to do well. Not every crypto, but the majority of the crypto space to do well. Is the only reason we chose Trump as next president of the United States. So with the Bitcoin maxis coming out and spewing one lies, and these are normal maxis, these are executives of one of the biggest Bitcoin mining industries in America, stating these moronic and essentially stupid things. And I don't think I'm wrong in any sort of way. And I believe that everybody will agree with me that the only reason we chose Trump for the crypto space to run the show is because we want equal opportunities for all cryptos to do well. So these Bitcoin maxis need to, hold their horse, because they're moving too fast. These Bitcoin maxis, they're more delusional than essentially Gary Gensler. I don't think that was ever going to be possible for anybody to be more delusional than Gary Gensler, but they are delusional. So they need to hold their horses, because you can't be using Bitcoin for everything at all. It's useless as a payment because it takes hours to go through. And that's just the truth. But, some people don't like hearing the truth. And also, in addition, so development comes as the essentially nearly watches how Trump will implement crypto-friendly policies as promised during the presidential election campaigns. In addition to essentially making America the world's crypto capital, Trump vowed to create a strict Bitcoin reserve inside the United States Treasury, which is brilliant, I think, and offer broader support to Bitcoin mining industries and decentralized finance. Also brilliant, in my opinion. You see, that's how someone's supposed to react. That Trump creating a Bitcoin reserve, I think that's a brilliant news. And Trump creating essentially a better environment for Bitcoin industries, that's brilliant news as well. But if the table's really the way around, Trump comes out and says, I want to do something positive for XRP. For example, let's just assume for a second, Trump comes out tomorrow on the news and says, I want to do something positive for Ripple and XRP. All the Bitcoin maxis will say, no, we don't accept it. Trump needs to change his policy. We don't accept Ripple. We don't accept XRP, only Bitcoin. So what happened to that fair space inside of crypto? Honestly, the Bitcoin maxis need to slow down, because they're going down a route that could end very bad for them, which is the delusional route. Because a normal person inside the crypto space will react like this. Trump creating a Bitcoin reserve, amazing. Trump creating a better environment for Bitcoin industries, amazing. Trump helping Ripple, amazing. Trump helping Solana, great. Trump helping Ethereum, great. But the Bitcoin maxis, if it's not Bitcoin, then they're going to be hysterical. They're just going to be all over the place. They're going to be angry. They're going to be spewing lies. They're going to be, it just makes no sense. They're acting like 4-year-olds. So Bitcoin maxis need to slow down a bit, because your special asset isn't that special in any other category. As I said previously, Bitcoin will struggle in AI, Web3, data, everything. It will struggle. Even in payments, it will struggle in. The only good thing Bitcoin has, a small, limited supply, full stop. The only thing Bitcoin brings to the table is a small, limited supply, full stop, which puts it alongside gold, full stop. It doesn't bring any sort of data storage capabilities because it gets congested. It doesn't bring any sort of payment services to the table because it's slow on payments. It doesn't bring any AI capabilities. It doesn't bring any gaming capabilities. It doesn't bring any Web3 capabilities. In every other category is useless. So the only thing Bitcoin brings to the table, theoretically, for everybody to be using in the real world, yes, it brings the blockchain data storage. So I'm very well aware of that. But what I'm trying to say is, what does it bring to the table for an everyday person to use? What does Bitcoin bring to the table for everyday person to use that other crypto projects aren't bringing? A limited supply. Full stop. That's the only thing it brings to the table, a limited supply. Brings zero AI capabilities, zero Web3 capabilities, horrible on data storage, horrible on payments, horrible in gaming category. So they need to slow down with Bitcoin for life, Bitcoin for everything, because a normal person inside the crypto space will tell you every crypto asset has a weakness, every crypto asset has a strength. But for the Bitcoin maxis, Bitcoin is strength all the way, which is delusional. Absolutely delusional. So there's strengths and weaknesses in every crypto asset. And people need to accept that. And it's not a bad thing to have a weakness. It just means you don't fit in that category and you'll do better in a different category. So, XRP will do great in payments, but it will do terrible in AI. That's okay, because it wasn't developed for AI, it was developed for payments. So they need to accept that one. Now, and I don't think I'm wrong in any sort of a way at all on this matter, because they are genuinely afraid of Bitcoin's potential. They are genuinely afraid of XRP's potential. With the Ripple CEO having sit down with Donald Trump, they're afraid. They're already afraid of XRP's potential. Just by Brad having a sit down with Trump, they're angry. I mean, if you want to show signs of weakness, that's a massive weakness. How are you getting angry with Brad having a sit down with Trump talking about XRP? As a person in blockchain as well. That's a massive sign of weakness. Now, the European Central Bank is what we'll talk about next. The European Investment Bank. Moving on from the delusional mindset of the Bitcoin maxis to the European Investment Bank. Does that mean the company will have access to, can both Coinbase and Ripple, the two companies that talk to Trump, can both Coinbase and Ripple, did Coinbase and Ripple both? Yes, Coinbase talked today and Trump and Ripple a few days ago. What do you think about unusual, brother? I'll have to take a look into it. Direct message, I'll take a look into it. They are playing the game Miles because controversy gets your name in the media. It does. Now we know who Gary was so against. Now we know why Gary was so against Ripple. He was probably paid off by the Bitcoiners. Makes a lot of sense on that matter, I'll be honest. Missed what you said about AVAX. AVAX is an amazing crypto project. No doubt about it. AVAX is an incredible crypto project. Now, the European Investment Bank. The European Investment Bank has issued its fifth digital bond. It's a 100 million essentially issuance that would be settled tomorrow using the pilot Euro wholesale central bank digital currencies as a part of the European Central Bank's wholesale DLT settlements trials, which end this month. While we use essentially the term wholesale CBDCs, the Bank of France refers to the tokens issued its DL33S. Just want to point this out. Tokenization is happening in central banks pretty much around the whole world and for institutions. The majority of the testings for tokenizations is wholesale CBDCs. A key advantage of wholesale CBDCs is the atomic settlements, which involves the simultaneous exchange of cash and titles to tokenized securities. The EB essentially issued the latest digital bond on the HSBC Orient platform. The second time the EB has used it. The Banque Centrale du Luxembourg was the local central bank for the European Central Investment Banks, and each of the European Investment Bank's digital bonds has explored the new features, often involving a different issuance platform. The issuance was the public Ethereum blockchain 2021. The fourth one was the green bond, and the latest one used for the novel settlements assets. As the European Investment Bank, we are proud to lead this effort, collaborating closely with the European ecosystems and demonstrating the potential of blockchain to enhance transparency, security, and efficiency, said the Director General of Finance of the EB. This bond underscores our commitment to exploring advanced digital solutions to increase Europe's productivity and competitiveness and reinforce the capital markets union. The joint lead managers for the latest bond were BNP and HSBC Continental Europe and NatWest Markets. Clifford Chance advised the EIB and the A&O Sherman, the joint lead managers. Meanwhile, some participants in the Eurosystem DLT settlement trials using central bank money are pushing for extension of the trials. Know one thing. The day Trump came into power, and I've always supported Trump, and I will always support Trump. Just want to put that, as, to say that as well. I've always said, thank God Trump won. But the day that Trump came into power, a lot of shenanigans around the whole world stopped. A lot of countries stopped their wars. Companies started behaving themselves. Chairmen decided to behave themselves as well. I mean, the New York chairmen, clawing back on crypto lawsuits and so on. So everybody started behaving themselves, and everybody started to change their mindsets. Russia said, who said we don't want to use the US dollars? We would love to use the US dollars. Putin said. The BRICS nations went from a stance of we don't want US dollars to we don't mind the US dollars. We'll use the US dollars, no problem, after Trump becoming president. So everybody started behaving themselves. BRICS started behaving themselves. Countries started behaving themselves. Commissioners, chairmen, everybody started behaving themselves around Trump. And things started to change. One thing hasn't changed, CBDCs. Every centralized bank around the world is still moving forward with CBDCs. Have you realized that? Because people will talk about all the things that have changed like this. Suddenly, Trump becomes president, chosen as the next president, and wars suddenly stop. Chairmen start behaving themselves. Company CEOs start behaving themselves. Everything starts to change. All of a sudden, everybody's behaving themselves. Gary Gensler is getting sued by 18 US states. US state governors are coming out and saying we're buying crypto. Like the whole thought pattern, everything changed. Except CBDCs. It's still moving forward. Even BRICS, who was against the US dollar, started using the US dollar because they're afraid of Donald Trump. The only thing that didn't change was CBDCs. Every centralized bank, 98% of centralized banks are still moving forward with CBDCs because it's the only thing he can't change. Tests are still moving forward. Banks are still moving towards their deadlines. They're still going to be launching their CBDCs 2025. And the Bitcoiners hate that too. The Bitcoin maxis hate that too, regarding CBDCs. And they know that Ripple is the one that's bringing all of this to the table. But you can't stop CBDCs. You cannot stop CBDCs. Trying to stop CBDCs is like going against the bigger picture. And nobody's going to be able to do that. Going against the World Economic Forum, Bank of International Settlements, International Monetary Fund, and whoever else is behind the scenes we don't even know, it's impossible. So everything, honestly, if you just think about it for a second, Trump gets elected as the next president of the United States of America. BRICS countries who hated the US dollars, we're going to use our own currencies, changed their minds, said, we're going to start using the US dollars. BRICS countries changed their mindset because of Trump. Countries ended wars because of Trump. So many things happened because of Trump. One thing didn't change. Every centralized bank is still spearheading towards CBDCs. What does that tell you? That you can't stop CBDCs, no matter who you are or no matter how much power you have, because that's the bigger picture. And the Bitcoin maxis are afraid of XRP's potential in a CBDC world, especially wholesale CBDCs. Wholesale CBDCs is going to bring a lot of money to the table. Now, we've also, as I like to say, all good things must come to an end, which they have now. So this was the endings of tonight's live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this was the CMF live. The CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. And my name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles. And on this live, every single night, you can tune it. By the way, this is episode 205. We're on episode 205, which is incredible. Every night, you can tune into this live, 11:25 p.m. UK time, where I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital space. Most of the Q&As on this live as well, I love it when everybody gets involved and puts an input in the comment section as well. So we have reached the end of tonight's live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, if you're watching this on X right now, follow me if you already haven't. Tune in every single night in this live and get involved inside the comment section. And thanks so much to everyone on X who's watching this right now, who's retweeted this live, who's liked this live, who's put a comment down on this live. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much as well. If you just subscribed and you're watching this as well, tune in every single night. And thank you for the like on YouTube as well. We've reached the endings of tonight's live. And we've talked about a lot of topics on tonight's live, as we do every single night. So you can tune in tomorrow for episode 206. Episode 206 will be tomorrow. But this was episode 205. Instead of complaining about XRP, their Bitcoin fantasies should invest in XRP. I agree 100%. All facts. Let's go, Ray. Welcome back, Miles. Great live. Take care, all. Let's go, Ray. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks, Legend. Have a great day and night. CMF, Shelly, thanks so much for the kind words. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks, Miles. Nice to see you back. Good night, CMF. Orphan, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thank you, Miles. Good night, all. Lena, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. It's nice to have you back. Let's go, Mike. See you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Welcome back, Miles. Another outstanding live tonight. Let's go. Scott, thank you so much for the kind words as well. See you tomorrow, same time as usual, brother. Share the live. Let's go, Scott. I'm happy to be back as well. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much to every single one of you, honestly. Love and respect, Miles. Let's go, Scott. Good night, Miles and CMF. It's nice to have you back. Let's go, Mike. Mike, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Share the live. Let's go, folks. Thank you so much to everybody that tuned into this live and that tunes into every other live. Subscribe, follow, retweet. If you already haven't, do it. And tune in every single night. I will see everybody. Thanks, Miles. Hope you're feeling better. Have a good night. Make sure you continue resting. I definitely will, Ghost Runner. Ghost Runner, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Mike, let's go. Good night, Miles and CMF. Great live, Miles. See everyone tomorrow. Free forever. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well, brother. I will see everybody tomorrow. Same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. See you tomorrow, CMF. Good night, Miles and CMF. Thank you. Let's go. Anna, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. You're the king. Let's go, Troy. Troy, see you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual. Thank you for the kind words, brother. See you tomorrow, same time as usual, Troy. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual.